Chapter 417. Abyss City. Mo, the city lord of the Scar City, stood deep underground in a huge, well-hidden volcano. A fiery speech and crimson flames interweaved into a magnificent scene. In the volcano, there was a white sword that was hundreds of meters long stuck straight in the ground. Thunder rumbled on the body of the sword, and bolts of lightning as thick as a man roared furiously. There was also a shocking sword energy that could destroy the heavens. It filled the surroundings. Mo was overjoyed. The sword embryo has been formed. It only needs to be refined, and then it will be born. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment, the world above roared, and the sound of bells rang. Mo's expression changed. He left the ground and went to the city lord's palace. What happened? The city was in chaos. Several human kings flew over in fear. City lord, look. The city defense array. Mo went outside and looked up. He saw a five-colored light screen in the sky. It was faintly discernible, and it looked like it would collapse at any time. This is... Mo's pupils shrank. Bad news, City Lord. The 5 elements origin crystal in the eye of the array has been replaced. A person who was guarding the array ran over with a pale face, holding a 5-colored crystal that had been crushed. Mo's expression changed. When was it replaced? Why'd you only find out now? The man with the complicated look was terrified. City Lord, this was replaced half a month ago. The array has inertia. Even if it loses its energy supply, it will run automatically for half a month without any abnormalities. Half a month. Mo's eyes flashed. Who was in charge of guarding the array half a month ago? The person immediately said, It was the right-hand man of the second city lord, Hong Mo. Him? Mo's eyes flashed with coldness. Tun Gue, oh Tun Gue. In order to stop me from performing the sword sacrifice and covet the position of the city lord, you are so ruthless that you want the entire city to die with you. This is the time for the ghost blood sacrifice. The ghosts are capturing humans everywhere. If the city is opened, won't most of the human race suffer? That 5 elements origin crystal is the array that will sustain the Abyss City for 500 years. The eyes of a trusted human king, an old man with a goatee, flashed. City Lord, please calm down. This matter is strange. Even if Tun Gue covets the position of City Lord, if the people in this city are plunged into misery and suffering, what use is there for him to be the City Lord? Although this person is scheming, he is definitely not a reckless person. The most important thing now is to quickly contact him and see if the Red Devil was ordered by him or if he was acting on his own. Everything revolves around finding the 5 elements origin crystal. Mo was furious. Damn it, you stole the 5 elements origin crystal while I was in seclusion and preparing to refine the Cosmos Thundersword. You really deserve to die. Soon, the two of them contacted each other through the communication pendant. Tun Gue, who was collecting the ghosts, had a drastic change in expression. What? The 5 elements origin crystal was stolen by the Red Fiend? This is impossible. Tun Gue immediately speculated that it was a trick of Thunder Demon. But after repeating it over and over, his expression finally changed. Thunder Devil City Master, please quickly investigate Hong Mo's background. I definitely did not give such an order. I'll find the 5 elements origin crystal immediately. Putting down the jade scroll, Tun Gue's expression was extremely ugly. He grabbed a jade pendant and asked, Where is Mo? Mo's expression changed slightly. I'm approaching them. Lord Tun Gue, what happened? Tun Gue restrained his anxiety and said unhurriedly, Mo has already discovered my movements and is urgently summoning me back. There is no time left. I can only find those 2 outsiders as soon as possible. Stay there and wait for me. I'll capture them and end this quickly. Mo rolled his eyes and was secretly shocked. This is bad. Things have changed. Tun Gue is looking for me. Mo's expression changed. He reported a location and then took out his compass. Gritting his teeth, he shattered it on the spot. Oomph. Tun Gue, how have I wronged you? To think that you would treat me this way. Lumo's face was full of anger. It seems that I can only seek refuge with the ghosts. Fortunately, the Red Fiend had accidentally caught a ghost spy who was trying to incite us to betray him. Now, I am forced to seek refuge with the ghosts. Gritting his teeth, Tungue left quickly with the 10 Rakshasas. 2 hours later, Tungue's expression was dark as he appeared in a desolate area. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. You lied to me. Whoosh! An hour later, Luimo was the last to leave. Looking at the destroyed compass, Tungue's expression was extremely dark. You dared to betray me. That means that you really took the origin crystal of the 5 elements from the Red Fiend's body. Oomph. Fortunately, I was prepared. Creak, with a flip of his palm, he took out a brand new compass. The needle was pointing in the same direction. A ferocious smile appeared on his lips. Very good, all in the same direction, saving me the trouble of searching in 2 different places. Several hours later, the clone and Xia Jingyu had finished their training. Xia Jingyu's entire body was crystal clear. Her exposed wrist was as smooth as water, giving off an inhuman glow. A suffocating, vast water vapor lingered around his body. Even if she were to face a human king, she would most likely win. As for the clone, the most amazing thing was that numerous symbols had appeared on its body, flickering. The terrifying energy it emitted made Su Yu's heart tremble. Even Su Yu's main body had no idea how strong the clone was. But what surprised Su Yu the most was that markings had appeared on the clone's body. This meant that the clone was gradually solidifying. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that this avatar had actually condensed a dantian that belonged to him. Even though it was formed from the fire element, this meant that as long as he had sufficient fire element energy, he could cultivate independently and increase his cultivation level. Su Yu felt a shred of shock and unease for the first time. Just what was that remnant of a legendary level technique? To think that after cultivating it, the clone would undergo such an unimaginable transformation. It looked like he would have to find out more about the origins of the item from the ancient clan that had provided it. Calming herself, Xia Jingyu woke up. Feeling the changes in her body, she was pleasantly surprised. This is great. His body contains the origin of water, so the might of his water attribute cultivation technique will be amplified several times. Multiply? So you clicked his tongue. Why don't we return to the exit of the Dragon Abyss? Xia Jingyu said, without the white Azura, if we work together, we might be able to break the Rakshas's seal and escape the Dragon Abyss. Su Yu pondered. Even though this method was risky, it was worth a try. After all, the current Dragon Abyss of the 9 underworlds was extremely strange. Nodding his head, Su Yu stored the 5 elemental origin crystals. It looked like there was only a shred of the water origin and fire origin energy left. Su Yu naturally kept them without hesitation. The 2 of them stood up to leave. But not long after they left, Su Yu and Xia Jingyu exclaimed in unison, "Someone is coming." Su Yu was shocked. Xia Jingyu had received the water origin and was much more sensitive. Luimo and the 10 Rakshasas. Su Yu's eyes narrowed, but he did not retreat. In the past, he might have been more careful. But now wait. I am not here to cause trouble for you. Please give me some time. Luimo said hurriedly. Su Yu's eyes flashed. Yes, speak. Luimo maintained a distance of 1,000 feet and bowed. I'm not here to capture you. I am here to remind you that City Master Tungue has already made his move and is looking for you. You should quickly escape. Tungue? Xia Jingyu's expression turned grave. He is here to capture us personally? Do you think I would believe that Tungue could leave the city at such a time to capture us? Furthermore, why are you telling us this information? Xia Jingyu asked. Luimo let out a bitter laugh. To tell you the truth, I am also being pursued by Tungue. That is why I informed the 2 of you. We will each go in one direction. That way, both of us will have a 50% chance of escaping. As for why we are capturing you, this is the unanimous decision of the 2 city masters. They are prepared to bring you back as offerings to the Ghost Clan. Every year, we must offer a certain number of humans to the Ghost Clan to ensure that the ghosts do not appear within 1,000 miles of the Abyss City. You 2 are extremely talented and youthful. Ghosts love to make offerings. Hence, we have decided to capture you. Is that so? Xia Jingyu said in a low voice. Black Snow, what do you think? Suyu laughed. Half true, half false. But it is better to believe it than not. We should leave immediately. We cannot fight for too long. Xia Jingyu agreed with him. She retreated with Suyu and left. Lu Mo had a cold glint in his eyes. He did not leave immediately. His smile disappeared, replaced with a cold expression. Humph, you are so easy to fool. As expected of someone from the outside world. Whoosh! Lu Mo took out a jade-green bottle from his sleeves, his eyes glowing with cunning. I have the aura of an evil ghost on me. To prevent Tun Gue, that old thing, from having other tricks up his sleeve, we must find a way to expel it. This bottle of Biluakun is something I have prepared for many years. I paid a great price for it. Now it has finally come in handy. By spraying it on me, I can conceal the aura of an evil ghost. I believe that when Tun Gue reaches this place, he will still think that I escaped with them. He will not be distracted and use other methods to find me. This way, I will have more time to escape. He was about to spray the bottle on himself. But at that moment, an ice sword pierced through the air, aiming for his vitals. Lu Mo's expression changed, becoming gloomy. You have not left yet. With half-god Tun Gue's abilities, he can communicate with heaven and earth and reach this place in an instant. If you wish to die, I will not accompany you. As he spoke, he raised his hand and smashed the entire ice sword. This bit of power cannot harm me in a short period of time. I will take my leave. To avoid being entangled, Lu Mo turned and retreated. But at that moment, within the shattered ice sword, a ball of ice water that had yet to solidify floated out. Lu Mo saw it, but did not care. But at that moment, the ice water suddenly condensed into a little cat, snatching away the Biluakun in Lu Mo's hands. Lu Mo's expression changed, and he hurriedly reached out to grab it. But at that moment, the shattered ice sword once again condensed into a sky full of ice shards, flying toward Lu Mo's head. Caught off guard, Lu Mo instinctively waved his sleeves to block it. But hearing the sound of breathing, the little cat and the Biluakun were held by a large hand. Looking up, it was Suyu, one hand holding Xia Jingyu, the other retrieving the Biluakun from the little cat. Without a word, he sprayed on the two of them. Thank you for your gift. We will meet again. Suyu cupped his fists and smiled. The 10,000 zhong wings on his back flashed, and with a few flashes, they disappeared without a trace. Lu Mo was furious. He had wanted them to stall for time, but in the end, he had allowed them to escape, and he had become Tun Gue's target. Of the two of them, one was ice-based and the other water-based. Their coordination was so great that it was impossible to defend against them. Lu Mo's heart was filled with hatred, but he could feel a terrifying aura closing in on him from behind. He could not help but cry bitterly, fleeing in a hurry. Thousands of miles away, Suyu and Xia Jingyu looked at each other and smiled. The two of them were so well coordinated, it was as if their hearts were linked. This gave Suyu a strange feeling. There could only be one person who could coordinate so well with others, Xia Jingyu. Even more coincidentally, she was also proficient in water-based techniques. Xia Jingyu felt even more strange. Looking at Suyu, she felt that the black snow devil king in front of her was gradually overlapping with Suyu. The two of them looked at each other, the same question flashing in their hearts. The atmosphere gradually froze. Suyu observed Xia Jingyu closely. Extraordinary level of perception, proficient in water-based techniques. Weren't these Xia Jingyu's strengths? Furthermore, Xia Jingyu had also participated in Lord EU's selection. Could she have succeeded? But from Suyu's impression, even though Xia Jingyu's level of perception was high, she definitely did not have the level of perception in front of him. She had seen all the techniques in the world, and had even created her own cultivation technique, second only to legendary techniques. But they were too similar. Suyu's lips moved. At this moment, Xia Jingyu finally mustered her courage. You first! You first! The two of them blurted out, and could not help but freeze. I'll go first. I'll go first. The two of them spoke at the same time. Xia Jingyu's face turned red, her heart thumping wildly. Her throat seemed to be blocked by something, and her pupils shrank into slits. Could it really be him? Su Yu's heart trembled. Could she be Xia Jingyu? The two of them looked at each other, each taking a deep breath, preparing to say their names. But at this moment, a sweet voice suddenly rang out. "Big brother, big sister, what are you doing?" The two of them trembled, looking down in shock. On the ground beneath their feet, a pretty little girl with a ponytail was raising her head innocently as she looked at them with a smile. The little girl was about 5 years old, and she wore a colorful dress. Her skin was as fair as snow, and she looked like she had been carved out of a painting. At this moment, her distinct black and white eyes were looking at them mischievously. So you took a small step forward, shielding Xia Jingyu without anyone noticing. "Who are you?" he asked seriously. Even though they had been slightly distracted, it was impossible for them to not notice that someone had arrived beneath their feet. Moreover, how could a harmless little girl appear in a dangerous place like the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds? Xia Jingyu was equally shocked. She looked at the little girl, feeling terrified. The little girl opened her eyes wide, smiling. "My name is Sheng Ge. Sheng as in Sheng Xiao, and Ge as in song. Hee, isn't it nice?" Sheng Ge, Xia Jingyu thought carefully. She seemed to have heard this name before. On the other side, Lu Mo was unable to escape from Tun Gue. A pitch-black color appeared on his palm. Ghost Swallower covered Green Demon's head, ignoring his heart-wrenching roars. "Humph, so you didn't know about the origin crystal of 5 elements. Why did you run? But it looks like you were already on guard against me, and you were even prepared to join the Ghost Clan. If that's the case, you can't stay either." Slap! Lumo's head was snapped off. Tun Gue's eyes flashed, and he let out a self-deprecating laugh. "That means that my Hong Mo has most likely joined the Ghost Clan, and the Ghost Clan was behind the theft of the origin crystal of 5 elements. Luckily, those 2 outsiders came here by accident. Otherwise, once the origin crystal of 5 elements was handed over to the Ghost Clan, things would be bad." Now that Su Yu and the others were no longer breathing, Tun Gue could only contact Lei Mo, unwilling to give up. "Help me find out where the 2 outsiders are. The origin crystal of 5 elements is related to them." Lei Mo put down the jade scroll, cursing angrily. "Useless. I lost both of them." But this concerned the safety of the Abyss City, so Lei Mo did as he was told. Activating the 10,000 miles cloud-passing realm, he quickly found Su Yu and Xia Jingyu. Unless their cultivation level was higher than his, or they were of the same cultivation level, it would be difficult for them to escape detection. "I found them. They are in the direction of the Abyss City." Tun Gue nodded. "Yes. Is there anyone else?" Lei Mo swept his gaze across the screen. There were only the 2 of them. Only them. Wait. Lei Mo took a closer look and realized that the 2 of them were talking to someone, as if they were facing a great enemy. But there was no one in that direction. Cold sweat trickled down Lei Mo's back. Unwilling to give up, Lei Mo switched the screen to the direction they were looking at, searching carefully. However, right at this moment, a strange phenomenon occurred. In the clearly empty screen, a little girl had appeared out of thin air. She was smiling coldly at the screen, as if she could see Lei Mo in the mirror. Thud, thud, thud. This gaze caused Lei Mo to stumble backward and fall to the ground. His face was filled with fear, and he said in a trembling voice, It's that heavenly ghost. The king of 10,000 ghosts, the most terrifying existence in the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds, the fairy realm. Heavenly ghost, Sheng Ge." Chapter 4:18. Su Yu's expression was calm, but his heart was thumping. He used his soul eyes to scan the area. What shocked him was that the little girl was clearly in front of him, but there was nothing in front of him. Suddenly, a green light flashed past the little girl's clear eyes. An obscure aura suddenly bore into Su Yu's soul, causing him to feel waves of pain. A secret soul technique. Su Yu was shocked. Buzz, the divine 9-dragon Cauldron felt the soul invasion from the outside world and shook slightly, suppressing the obscure aura. "I am Lord Yu. Little girl, You are so cute. What is your name? Xia Jingyu smiled sweetly from behind, descending and kneeling down to gently touch her head. Suyu was shocked. Lord, you did not seem like a reckless person. How could she be so reckless? That invading aura. Suyu's heart sank. It was most likely some sort of hallucinatory soul technique. Lord Yu was being controlled. Although his heart was heavy, Suyu's expression did not change. With a smile, Suyu descended and said, I am the Black Snow Devil King. Little girl, why are you here alone? Are you not afraid of danger? Shungu pursed her lips and smiled, revealing two shallow dimples. Her clear eyes swept past the two of them. However, when her gaze landed on Suyu, a shred of suspicion flashed past her eyes. Big brother, big sister, can you give me all your treasures? Shungu asked sweetly. Xia Jingyu smiled gently, not rejecting her. Sure. She took out the hairpin and handed it to Shungu. All sorts of divine artifacts and treasures were contained within the hairpin. Space divine artifact. Hee. Big sister's identity is not simple. Shungu smiled meaningfully. Lord Yu was indeed being controlled. Suyu's gaze flickered as he took out two items. One was the space storage divine artifact, the Cosmos Mirror, and the other was Yun Yazi's jade box. Shungu scanned Suyu from head to toe, feeling as if her entire body had been seen through. Apart from the palm print and the divine nine-dragon cauldron in her soul, everything else had been searched. Maybe I'm overthinking. Shung Ji's smile faded, turning cold and revealing a maturity that did not match her age. He casually glanced at the Cosmos Mirror and the jade box and was slightly surprised. Interesting. After being suppressed for 1,000 years, has the Jinlong continent regained its ancient prosperity? Two mere juniors. Both of them have storage artifacts. It seems that Void Immortal Exalt is going to activate the Yin-Yang Reincarnation Immortal Artifact again and activate the Dark Turmoil. After pondering for a moment, Shungu flicked their items back and said slowly, I've been sealed for 1,000 years, and my resources have been exhausted. If it weren't for the sake of deceiving everyone, these items wouldn't have been returned to their rightful owners to avoid arousing suspicion from the old man outside. However, these things will be mine sooner or later, and so will your lives. Shunga mumbled to herself and said, Follow me. Yu and Suyu seemed to have lost their minds. They could not help but follow. Suyu looked forward. He did not even try to secretly observe Shung Ji's back. At the level of the fairy realm, even the faintest gaze could be detected. He was pretending to be controlled now. Once she exposed him, the consequences would be unthinkable. As for Lord Yu, if there was a chance, he would help her out and find an opportunity to escape from her control. Tun Gue waited for a while, but he did not detect any movement from Abyss City. He could not help but feel suspicious. Beep beep. The jade scroll opened again, and Lei Mo let out a cold grunt. I have found him 1,500 miles northwest. Tun Gue. The origin crystal of 5 elements concerns the survival of Abyss City. You know the consequences if you do not find it. Hearing the threat, Tun Gue was furious. However, this was Hong Mo's doing. He was suspected of failing to supervise. He felt a little guilty and did not notice the difference in Lei Mo's tone. Putting away the jade scroll, Tun Gue locked onto the northwest direction and flew toward it. Abyss City. In front of the 10,000 miles cloud-passing border, Lei Mo put down the jade scroll. His palms were trembling, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Behind him, the subordinate's face was pale. City Master, luring the other party into encountering the Heavenly Ghost, could have gotten rid of him. However, the Heavenly Ghost's appearance could be aimed at us. We are in need of manpower. Why send him to his death? Lei Mo's eyes glowed with ruthlessness. Humph! If the Heavenly Ghost wants to harm us, what use would it be to have more half-gods when the great spell protecting the city is gone? Letting Tun Gue go is also buying us some time. The subordinate was shocked. Sir, are you thinking of forming a blood bond with the Cosmos Thunder Sword now? However, that will take 2 days. We might not be able to deal with the Heavenly Ghost in time. Lei Mo took a deep breath and smiled coldly. I have been prepared for this. Ever since I accidentally discovered the thunder sword in the underground volcano, which had been refined by the earth fire for tens of thousands of years, I have been prepared. I have set up a spell formation on the thunder sword. As long as the sword embryo is complete, even if it is not refined, it will be able to unleash 50% of its power. With such power, even though it has lost the power to kill the heavenly ghost, it should be more than enough to injure it. The subordinate was overjoyed. Thanks to the good fortune of the city master, the Abyss City is saved. Mo had been a nameless villain in the Abyss City back then. He had accidentally discovered the underground volcano and the mysterious thunder sword. He had used the power of the thunder sword to cultivate continuously. That was how he had gained the name of Mo today. His thunder path had intimidated the dragon Abyss. On this day, 100 years later, the thunder sword, which had been tempered by the earth fire for tens of thousands of years, had finally formed a sword embryo. If it could be used, it would definitely be able to unleash great power. Above the dragon Abyss, Gang Daily Eye held a green foxtail grass in his mouth and lay in front of the wooden hut. He was bored to death, guarding the stove and heating up a pot of wine. "Old man, how long are you going to hide? Ever since I followed you, I have never enjoyed a day of being revered by tens of thousands of people. Instead, I have to hide in a place like the Dragon Abyss where even birds don't poop. Were you fooling me back then? Are you really that powerful?" On the big rock, the sloppy old Taoist let out a burp. He cast a sidelong glance at him and laughed dryly. "Whether I am powerful or not, won't you know if you go down and ask that little brat?" Gang Daily Eye's face stiffened. He looked back at the entrance of the Dragon Abyss with a rare look of fear. "Old man, she won't really come out, right? Back then, she almost broke through the seal. I gave her a ruthless punch. If she escapes, even you won't be able to suppress her, right?" The sloppy old Taoist pulled a long face and mumbled, "Do I need to be afraid of that little brat?" He paused, feeling a little guilty. In the past, I could make sure she wouldn't be able to turn the tables with just a little finger. Gang Daily Eye's expression was a little unnatural. He touched his nose. "Old man, you have to hang in there. It won't be too late for you to prepare a coffin for yourself when I leave the Jinlong continent." "You little brat," the sloppy old Taoist grunted. "If not for the fact that the Jinlong continent is not suitable for me to recover, would I need to be afraid of that little brat?" It seemed like the old man was once a powerful martial artist. But the one I should be most worried about is not that little brat, but the criminals in the abyss. I hope they are not too stupid and touch that thing. That is the most dangerous thing. In the abyss, Shungu was expressionless, her small face cold. She lowered her head and pondered, as if she was deep in thought. Suddenly, Shungu lifted her head and looked behind her. From the distant horizon, a scarred figure was flying over. Shungu froze, then let out a cold laugh. "Idiot!" Tun Gue saw Su Yu and Xia Jingyu from afar, his nervous expression relaxing. He was about to chase after them when he suddenly saw a cute little girl standing between the two of them. Tun Gue was stunned. Why had the intelligence not mentioned that the two of them had brought a little girl? But when he saw the girl's face clearly, Tun Gue felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Heavenly Ghost, Shungu. He instinctively wanted to escape. However, when he saw Shungu's faint smile, his rationality told him not to run away. Clenching his teeth, Tun Gue braced himself and flew over. Thump! Tun Gue of the Abyss City greets Lord Heavenly Ghost. "I was abandoned by Mo and am willing to serve you." Tun Gue had surrendered without hesitation. Hee. Looks like you're quite smart. Firstly, you did not escape. Secondly, you realized so quickly that you had been betrayed by the person hiding behind the mirror. Tun Gue was furious. He did not believe that Mo had not discovered the existence of the heavenly ghost in the 10,000 miles cloud-passing realm. He had deliberately concealed it and sent him here, hoping that he would die. "Thank you for the compliment, Lord Heavenly Ghost. If he is heartless, I will be unjust." Tun Gue was calculative. But Sheng Ji's smile faded. "Who said I wanted to take you in? Don't compare me to those inferior ghosts." Tun Gue's expression froze. his gaze quickly sweeping past Su Yu and Xia Jingyu. Lord Heavenly Ghost, please give me a way out. I will listen to your orders and be of use to you. I am from the Abyss and the Deputy City Master. I will definitely be of some use. Unexpectedly, Shungu let out a cold laugh. Are you trying to say that you are more useful than the two of them? Unfortunately, the truth is that they are more useful than you. Seeing that Shungu had made up her mind to kill him, Tun Gue bit the tip of his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, a shuttle-shaped divine artifact slid out from his sleeve. The divine artifact trembled slightly when it came into contact with the blood, exploding with a blinding green glow. Go! Tun Gue grabbed the green glow with one hand, exploding with a terrifying speed, traveling 10,000 miles in an instant. Sheng Ji's lips curled into a cold smile. Trying to escape? All of you wait here. I need an hour. After saying this, her petite figure disappeared, as if she had teleported. When she reappeared, her figure was a blur, appearing precisely in front of Tun Gue. I suddenly realized that you're not completely useless. At least this proves one thing. Shungu thought for a moment. She clasped her hand and pressed down. The spirit energy of the universe surged, gathering in the sky, forming a giant palm 1,000 feet wide. The lines were clear, similar to a real palm. As soon as it pressed down, the divine artifact in Tun Gue's hand exploded. Tun Gue himself was sent flying, blood splattering from his chest. No! A plea was cut short by the merciless giant palm. His body was crushed on the spot. Su Yu's expression was calm. He and Xia Jingyu were like puppets, motionless. However, his heart was filled with uncertainty, and he was struggling with himself. An hour was enough for them to escape far away. Xia Jingyu was uncertain, but Su Yu was not under her control. She might not be able to find him, but the risk was high. What should he do? Should he escape, or wait and see? Time passed, and Su Yu was tormented. Half a cup of tea's time had passed, and he gradually made up his mind, motionless. An hour passed. Whoosh, a gentle breeze blew past, and Shungu suddenly appeared behind Su Yu. She had a faint smile on her face as she said, "It seems like I was overthinking things. It would be strange if a mere junior could really block my heavenly ghost heart technique." She had been wary of Su Yu all along. She had clearly dealt with Tun Gue in an instant, but had waited until now to see if Su Yu still had his own consciousness. Completely relieved, Shungu laughed. "Since that is the case, it is time for you to participate in my plan. That destructive divine artifact will be temporarily given to you, who possesses lightning-based techniques." With a loud laugh, Shungu shook her sleeves, creating a gust of wind that carried the two of them away. Chapter 419. Xinhui Island, Xinyu Prefecture. Lord Shun Ying stood high in the sky, coldly looking at the Duke of Xinyu. His expression was even worse than the Duke's. "If I find out that you are harboring Su Yu," Lord Shun Ying said, "I will destroy your entire family. Let's go." The Duke of Xinyu was sweating profusely, his face full of worry. "What happened to you, Why is he wanted by the Empire of Darkness?" The Duke of Xinyu's heart was heavy. A graceful lady walked out from the side. She wore a daffodil green dress, with a yellow belt tied around her waist. Her figure was exquisite and well-proportioned. Her face was elegant and refined, gentle and beautiful. Her bright eyes were like ripples, full of elegance and gentleness. "Duke, do not worry," the lady said softly. The lady called out softly. Her voice was like the sound of nature, and it was pleasing to the ears. "Both of us know Su Yu's character very well. He is definitely not someone who commits crimes. Being wanted by the Empire of Darkness might not necessarily be because he has committed a sin that will anger the heavens and the people." The Duke of Xinyu said respectfully, "Missin, I am well aware of Yuer's character. I am only worried about his safety." The gentlewoman smiled sweetly. "Royal Prince, you can rest assured. Since they are still searching for him with great fanfare, it naturally means that he is safe and sound." Even though she said this, deep in her eyes was a deep sense of unease. The Duke of Xinyu sighed in self-reproach. "I'm useless. I did not give this child the protection he deserved, letting him wander the Jinlong continent alone without anyone to rely on. The lady sighed. Duke, I think I should take my leave. There are still many important matters to attend to in the Jinlong continent. I can also return to the continent to look for Su Yu. When the regional king heard this, he was overjoyed and asked, Miss, are you leaving now? The lady nodded. My injuries have healed. Thank you for your care. It is time for me to leave. The Duke urged her to stay, but did not stop her, watching her leave. Above the sea, the two inspectors behind Lord Shun Ying had strange expressions. Lord, we have been searching for him from the continent all the way to the Alliance, then to the Lucian faction. Now, we have even found Su Yu's father-in-law. Yet, we still have not found his whereabouts. Why don't we just capture those who are related to him alive and spread the news? Lord Shun Ying raised his eyebrows. Humph, you think you're smart? Use your brain and think about it carefully. The grand sacrificial ceremony is just around the corner. At that time, the Holy King's life or death will be revealed. If he had already died, there would still be by Luo giving orders, and I would naturally be able to do whatever I wanted. However, if the Saint King was still alive, how do you think the Saint King would punish me for doing such a disgraceful thing to the Empire? The two inspectors were embarrassed and did not say anything. What should we do next? Lord Shunning touched his broken left palm, and a vicious look appeared on his face. Of course, I can't just let this go. However, the grand sacrificial ceremony is just around the corner, and we don't have much time left. We need to hurry back as soon as possible. We must find Su Yu even if we have to turn the entire continent upside down. The two of them acknowledged respectfully and retreated with Lord Shunning. On the other side of the vast sea was Mo Wu. After going through many difficulties, she had finally found out the whereabouts of her master. She was pleasantly surprised as she headed towards Shunyue Island. Demonic Dragon Abyss. Banished Abyss Central Region. Su Yu and Xia Jingyu were brought to an ancient ruin. The ruins stretched for tens of thousands of miles, and a large area of the ancient palace could still be vaguely seen, but the preservation was very complete. However, the Yin energy was extremely heavy, and there was a sinister aura everywhere. Su Yu felt a bone-piercing chill, extremely uncomfortable. The spirit energy in his body was quickly being corroded by the Yin energy. Welcome, Lord Heavenly Ghost. Approaching the spacious hall in the center, two white figures flew into the sky. They were the white-faced Azura and the black-faced Azura. The two of them looked at Su Yu and Xia Jingyu, their expression strange. These two have already been inflicted with the Heavenly Ghost heart planning technique. Bring them to the Dragon Sealing Well. Once you're done, bring them to see me immediately. Shungo left the two of them behind and left. The two great Azuras did not dare disobey, waving their hands at the two of them. Follow me. Su Yu's heart shook, and he silently followed the two of them to the deepest part of the ruins. It was an extremely spacious plaza. What caused Su Yu's pupils to shrink was the sight of tens of thousands of Rakshasas surrounding an ancient well that was 100,000 zhang wide. The mouth of the ancient well was sealed by 9 pitch-black chains that were 100 feet thick. Waves of extremely violent and terrifying black mist surged out of the ancient well. It was a majestic sight. What shocked Su Yu even more was the fact that 999 humans were being held captive in the plaza. They were tied to a huge cross and placed beside the ancient well. Suddenly, a soft barking sound came from Su Yu's sleeves. It was Long Fei Yu's spiritual pet. His gaze swept across the area, and he immediately discovered Long Fei Yu's presence. But Su Yu pretended not to know, quietly following the two Azuras to land beside the ancient well. The black-faced Azura looked at Xia Jingyu, revealing a strange expression as he said expressionlessly, "You do it." The white-faced Azura laughed coldly, jumping into the ancient well. Not long after, he grabbed 2 black crystals from the ancient well. He crushed the 2 crystals, and a black liquid sprayed out, spraying the 2 of them. Something strange happened. The Yin energy in Su Yu's body was like snow in spring, quickly seeping out of his pores. At the same time, the black liquid formed a transparent black light barrier, enveloping the two of them. No matter how dense the energy in the outside world was, it was pushed out. He, Lord Heavenly Ghost, seems to value these two humans, the white-faced Azura said with a laugh. Not only did she personally take action, she even used the few Heavenly Ghost crystals in the ancient well to prevent the energy from entering their bodies. The black-faced Azura was unmoved, pulling the two of them back with an expressionless face. At that moment, the white-faced Azura's eyes flashed. "Hey, Luo, do you really not have any thoughts about Lord Heavenly Ghost? The restriction she planted in our bodies could take our lives at any time. More importantly, Lord Heavenly Ghost is about to break free and leave the Dragon Abyss, but she has no intention of releasing the seals for us. If Lord Heavenly Ghost doesn't personally reinforce this kind of restriction every other month, we'll be destroyed in body and soul. If she abandons us and leaves, we'll be doomed." The black-faced Azura's expression darkened, and he scolded, "By Luo, we are where we are today because of Lord Heavenly Ghost. Otherwise, when we were still Rakshasa, we would have died at the hands of the humans in Shun City. All these years, Lord Heavenly Ghost has only ordered us to hold the demonic dragon blood sacrifice every 100 years to appease the sealed demonic dragon. She has never mistreated us. For the sake of our many years of friendship, I can pretend I did not hear what you said today. But if there is a next time, I will take your head." The black-faced Azura scolded coldly. The white-faced Azura's expression stiffened. "Humph, I was just saying, how could I really betray Lord Heavenly Ghost?" He flew away after saying this. Chapter 420. The conversation between the two of them was not concealed from Su Yu and Xia Jingyu. It seemed they were very confident in Shang Ji's Heavenly Ghost heart planning technique. A moment later, in a great hall, "Hey Luo, you may leave. Immediately carry out my instructions." Shanggu waved her hand. After dismissing Hey Luo, Shanggu walked over and placed a hand on Su Yu's wrist, closing her eyes. A moment later, she slowly opened her eyes with a hint of surprise. "Backlash from the Heavenly Wrath? I am surprised that a junior like you could be injured by the Heavenly Wrath. Those eyes must have been blinded by the Heavenly Wrath, right? Also, you actually have a shred of our ghost bloodline, and it is the rarer, evil ghost bloodline. It can swallow the life, force, and cultivation of all living things. How strange. If you really were a member of the Ghost Clan, I might even pass on the Ghost Clan sacred object, the 100 Ghosts secret scroll to you. Unfortunately, you're just a tool that I need to use. You're not worth my time." Shedding her curiosity, Shanggu calmly said, "Besides the lightning-based techniques, you also cultivate the fire-based and ice-based techniques. Even your physical body seems to have undergone some training. You have learned too much, but not enough. In particular, the lightning-based techniques that I need are not as good as the ice-based and fire-based techniques. You have already cultivated the origin of these two techniques. Instead, the lightning-based techniques are slightly inferior. It looks like I still need to spend some effort to sort out what you have learned. Only then can I ensure that you can control that lightning-based treasure." After thinking for a moment, the Heavenly Ghost tapped Su Yu's forehead with her finger. A wisp of pure, majestic, and mysterious energy entered Su Yu's body, crazily attacking his limbs and bones. First, refine the messy energy in your body. Creak. Under the enormous energy, Su Yu's whole body was in pain. His soul shook violently, and he almost cried out in pain. The bones in his body let out a crackling sound, and his flesh squirmed and contracted continuously. The powers of ice, fire, and lightning were crazily compressing his flesh, bones, and meridians. Slivers of black blood, mixed with stinky impurities, were continuously squeezed out from his pores. The entire process lasted for 2 hours, until there were no more impurities. Shanggu retracted her finger, her pink face turning pale. It was obvious that the sorting out of the energy was extremely taxing for her. With a flick of his finger, the impurities in Su Yu's body flew away, revealing a body that was as smooth as jade and extremely fair. Although Xiao Qin's body looked like it had no muscles, it contained a berserk energy that merged the attributes of ice, fire, and lightning. His green tendons and veins also showed some changes. They were suffused with a faint golden color, which was different from that of an ordinary human. Shenggu wiped the beads of sweat off her forehead and nodded in satisfaction. For this rare opportunity, I'm willing to go all out. Only after the energy is infused into the physical body can it bring out its true might. With the three attributes merged into one, the strength of this physical body is already comparable to a peak sovereign stage expert. That is why the aura of that lightning Tao treasure did not shatter my physical body. After doing all this, Shenggu pointed her finger at Su Yu's Dantian, crazily imbuing the energy of the fairy realm into his Dantian. They revolved around his Dantian and finally condensed into two soybean-sized crystals. Sheng Ji's face turned even paler. Her small body also swayed a little, but her face was full of satisfaction. To bring out the power of the lightning Tao treasure, I need vital energy of the fairy realm. With my strength, I can only use it twice. Imbue all of them into your body. If you're unable to break the seal with one try and an accident happens, the second crystal can be used as a foolproof plan. She lifted her head to look at Su Yu. His face was pale from the pain, but his mind was still clear. She could not help but be surprised. Not bad willpower. You were still able to remain clear-headed even after I repeatedly imbued you with the energy. It looks like you have a strong will. Withdrawing her gaze, Shenggu waved her hands. The two of you stand at the side. Do not move. After saying this, she sat down cross-legged, exhausted, and began to recover. Half a day later, Shenggu let out a breath of turbid air. Her face regained its rosy color, and she once again looked lively and adorable. Lord, the preparations are complete. Outside the palace, He Luo's voice could be heard. Sheng Ji's eyes glowed. All right, let's go. I have been sealed for 10,000 years. It is time to leave this place. If I can seize the opportunity, I might be able to leave the Jinlong continent and return to Jiuzhou. With a look of anticipation, Shenggu waved her hands. A group of people appeared in the sky above the palace. At that moment, the white-faced Azura, who was in charge of looking after the dragon sealing well, flew over hurriedly. He said respectfully, Lord, the demonic dragon blood sacrifice is about to begin. Please give the order. Shenggu glanced at the dragon sealing well. She was fearful, but also a little hateful. Humph, I have served that demonic dragon for 1,000 years. I perform a blood sacrifice once every 100 years in exchange for vital energy from Jiuzhou. Now that I have hopes of returning to Jiuzhou, why would I care about that demonic dragon? Let it live and die on its own. The white-faced Azura's expression turned stiff. But the humans we have captured as food, do whatever you want. Shenggu waved her hands, indifferently saying, By Luo, Hey Luo, follow me. On account of your many years of loyalty, I will bring you away from the dragon abyss. If there is a chance, I might even bring you into Jiuzhou. Hearing this, the two of them were overjoyed. Thank you, Lord. The white-faced Azura swept his gaze across the 10,000 panicking Rakshasas. He hesitated for a moment. Lord, what about my clansmen? If we are not around, they will be slaughtered by the humans in Abyss City in just a few decades. Sheng Ji's expression turned cold. How can I control that group of trash? They're just Rakshasas. There are countless low-level ghosts like them. If you want to accompany them, you can stay. I dare not. The white-faced Azura's expression turned cold. A strange look flashed in the depths of his eyes. The black-faced Azura glanced at Bai Luo. He did not say a word and stood behind Shenggu loyally. Shenggu snorted coldly. With a wave of her sleeves, the group of people disappeared like smoke. Tens of thousands of Rakshasas were left behind. They did not know what to do and panicked. As a result, none of the human prisoners on the ground paid any attention to them. Abyss City. Underground volcano. Thunder Demon's 10 fingers moved continuously, creating afterimages as he rapidly formed hand seals. His face was pale, and his entire body was drenched in sweat. Behind him was his trusted aide, who had an anxious look on his face. However, there were 9 flickering black flags on the Thundersword. This was the array that could temporarily control the Cosmos Thundersword without refining it. Although it could only unleash half of the Thundersword's power, it was more than enough to severely injure the heavenly ghost and scare it away. At this moment, there were already 8 black flags emitting surging black gas. They wrapped around the Thundersword. Only one array was left. Rumble. Right at this moment, a terrifying aura descended from the sky above the Abyss City. Many of the experts in the city fainted on the spot. Even the stronger human kings retreated hundreds of meters in shock. They looked at the sky in horror. Shungu wore a faint sneer as she stood in the dark clouds with her hands behind her back. Chapter 4:21. The voice penetrated the ground and landed in Lei Mo's ears. His body shook violently, and his face darkened. So fast. Zwali, protect me. No matter what happens, you must fight for the last bit of time for me. Just one more spell flag, and I will be able to control the Cosmos Thundersword and kill this ghost. As Lei Mo's trusted aide, Zwali immediately took out a golden puppet. After crushing it, a ball of powerful Buddhist light erupted and enveloped the two of them. It was a Buddhist treasure. Seeing this, Lei Mo was slightly relieved. Buddhist power is the bane of ghosts. You have to sacrifice the ancestral, angry Vajra Buddhist statue. After this is done, you will inherit everything that Tangue has. This Buddhist statue was left behind by Zhua Li's ancestor. After crushing it, the Buddhist power hidden within would form a defensive barrier. Even a half-god would find it difficult to break through. Although Shungu was a terrifying existence of the fairy realm, the Buddhist power was very effective against evil ghosts. Hence, she might not be able to break through the barrier. Zwali was excited. Thank you, City Master. A strange light flashed in his eyes. The Abyss City was silent. Having lost the great defensive barrier, they did not even dare to breathe in the face of the sudden arrival of the heavenly ghost. Shungu laughed coldly. Do you need me to invite you out? Shungu stretched out her delicate palm and slammed it down. The spiritual energy of the heavens and the earth became chaotic. The dense demonic dragon's breath also condensed at this moment, forming a giant palm the size of half of the Abyss City. It slammed into the ground, causing the ground to shake violently. In an instant, more than half of the houses collapsed. On the ground, a 1-mile wide crack appeared. From the crack, a ball of scorching red light rushed out. The surrounding ground melted into liquid. Shungu waved her hand, and a strong wind blew the scorching red air away, not harming her at all. What followed closely was an extremely powerful sword aura, mixed with the terrifying power of thunder. It shot straight into the sky. Everywhere it passed, the demonic dragon's breath retreated. It was extremely afraid of it. Thunder naturally countered the power of evil. Shungu frowned slightly. She put her hands together, and the spiritual energy from both sides of the sky rolled over, trapping the thunder sword aura that shot into the sky. Then, she squeezed her palms together, and the thunder sword aura that was trapped let out a whimper before shattering into lightning. It seemed like even she was somewhat fearful of the power of lightning. At this moment, through the parted ground, one could see a volcano that was hidden very deep, and it was bubbling with lava. It was a huge sword that was 100 jong long. Lightning coiled around his body as he emitted a peerless sword light. Lei Mo's expression changed drastically, and he sped up his hand seals. The 9th formation flag buzzed and vibrated, continuously emitting black mist. He was about to succeed. Shungji's expression changed slightly. With a wave of her sleeve, a destructive force turned into a sharp arrow and shot down. At this moment, the Buddhist light barrier was actually on the verge of collapse. Not good. This heavenly ghost is more powerful than I imagined. Zhua Li's expression changed, and he opened his mouth to spit out a mouthful of blood essence and frantically infused his spiritual energy into the Buddhist light. Suddenly, the Buddhist light expanded and formed a 10 jong tall Buddha statue. As a sharp arrow shot down, the Buddha statue shook violently. Its whole body was covered with cracks the width of a finger. Bang! In the end, the Buddha statue could not withstand it and shattered with a loud bang. Because of this, the sharp arrow also dissipated. The Buddhist light barrier was gone. Zhuo face turned pale. Ha ha ha! It's done. At this moment, Thunder Devil's laughter rang out. The last formation flag had been successfully activated. At this critical moment, he had still succeeded. Cosmos, the Thunder Sword, rise. Leamo laughed maniacally. He put his palms together and used a technique to control the spell. The 9 formation flags emitted billowing black energy, enveloping the Thunder Sword. Rumble. Under the effect of the spell, the unrefined Thunder Sword was being controlled by someone. The Thousand Zhang sword let out a thunderous roar, vibrating continuously as it gradually flew out from the ancient volcano. The world-destroying sword light transformed into a shocking sword energy, shooting toward the horizon. The white light pierced through the clouds, shooting toward the clouds for thousands of miles. The entire dragon abyss shook violently. Countless Rakshasas had terrified expressions as they burrowed into the ground. The demonic dragon's breath that filled the sky rumbled. Faced with the soaring sword energy, Shang Ji's expression finally changed. With a wave of her sleeve, she led the group to avoid the sword energy, not daring to face it head-on. They were still too late. Su Yu's heart trembled. He had only seen such a powerful sword in the ancient Tower of Heaven, on the ancient sword of the youth with closed eyes. This sword did not lose to the Jinlong continent. That bit of sword energy was enough to kill all half-gods. If this sword were to be unleashed, even Shanggu would be reduced to ashes. Ha 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 ha! Even the heavens are helping me. I have spent 100 years of effort, and my wish has finally come true. Heavenly Ghost, I will use you as a sacrifice to the sword. Leamo laughed maniacally. With the peerless Thunder Sword, his confident sword, after killing the Heavenly Ghost, the next step was to unify the Dragon Abyss. Strangely, Shunga only had her initial fear. She then let out a faint smile. Is that so? Leamo's heart skipped a beat. Was there something wrong with the other party being fearless? At that moment, he felt a chill in his chest. A palm had pierced through his chest without warning, digging out his heart. Leamo turned his head in disbelief. Zhuoli, it's you. Why? The person who had ambushed him was his trusted aide, Zhuoli. Zhuoli laughed coldly as he crushed his heart. His expression was cold. Which do you think I would choose? To be second to only one in the Dragon Abyss, or to leave this world and go to the outside world? After saying that, he flew into the sky and knelt in front of Shanggu. He presented a black scroll with both hands. Greetings, Lady Shanggu. This is the method to control the Divine Guard formation. I have secretly stolen it from Leamo according to your orders. Leamo could not believe it. You? When did you betray us? You stole the origin crystal of 5 elements. At the moment of his death, he suddenly understood. Zhuoli laughed coldly. When you discovered the Cosmos Thunder Sword and started refining it, I was already Lady Shang Ji's man. As for the origin crystal of 5 elements, if I had not framed Tun Gue and asked you to kill him, how would I have had the chance to strike at the critical moment and give you a fatal blow? After all, that old fox Tun Gue is very cunning. Leamo's vision darkened. The mole was actually the person he trusted the most. Shunga glanced down and then looked at Zhuoli. Well done. Stand behind me. I can't be bothered to turn back to you. Zhuoli was overjoyed when he heard that. He could finally prepare to leave this place. However, Leamo, who was on the verge of collapse, suddenly became alert. His body moved like lightning, and he pointed at the Cosmos Thunder Sword from afar. In an instant, the Dragon Abyss rumbled. From the Cosmos Thunder Sword, a 300-meter-long thunder dragon shot out and swallowed Shungu at lightning speed. This happened so suddenly that Shungu was caught off guard. Shungu was swallowed by the thunder dragon on the spot and was surrounded by lightning. Damn it, you have 2 hearts. Shungu was furious. Ghost Chi surged from her small body to resist the destructive lightning. However, The lightning was so strong that it could subdue ghosts. Shunga was trapped inside it. It would take her a long time to escape. Chapter 422. Shunga was both shocked and furious. Impossible. How did you know that Zwoli had sided with me? Zwoli's face was pale, and he said in fear, "It was not me. I definitely did not reveal it." The white-faced Azura's expression changed, and he flew in front of Shunga. "Hey Mion, protect Master." Hey Mion was cold and loyal. He snorted, and the white-faced Azura's expression changed. The two of them, two half-gods, guarded Shunga from the left and right, buying time for her to break through. Suddenly, the white-faced Azura let out a blood-curdling scream. A halberd had pierced through his neck, almost cutting off his head. The white-faced Azura only screamed once before his body slumped to the ground. Sheng Ji's eyes turned cold. "Hey Luo, you betrayed me." No one had expected the loyal Hey Luo to be the true traitor. Hey Luo looked over expressionlessly. "Master, when you treated the Ghost Clan like puppets, you should have known this day would come. Your ideals, your feelings, your back view as you looked up at the starry sky. I did not understand. Is the outside world really that good? Why did you abandon the Ghost Clan?" Shunga was cold. "You're asking for death." With a thought, he tried to activate the restriction, but the lightning dragon had a barrier that blocked his divine sense. The black-faced Azura said indifferently, "It's useless, Master. This is a sealing spell specially prepared for you. It could trap you for a Joss-Sticks time. And a Joss-Sticks time is enough for Lei Mo to activate the Cosmos Thunder Sword and kill you." Sheng Ji's pupil shrank, her face filled with hatred. "Zwoli, Suyu, buy me a Joss-Sticks time." She had been confident of success, but now she was in a life-and-death situation. Zwoli could not back down now. Even if he surrendered, Lei Mo would not forgive him. He could only pin his hopes on Shunga. Zwoli's eyes flashed. With a low grunt, he took out another golden Buddha statue. Lei Mo's expression changed. "You hit another angry Vajra Buddha statue. Azura, stop him quickly." The black-faced Azura's expression turned cold. His halberd surged with sinister ghost energy, and a 30-meter-wide ghost face appeared. Zwoli was already prepared. A golden talisman fell from his sleeve. It was Sanskrit, full of Buddha nature. After crushing it, the sound of Sanskrit filled the air and the light of Buddha shone. Amidst the sudden explosion of Sanskrit sounds and Buddhist light, the ghostly face shrieked and died. Seizing the opportunity, the angry Vajra Buddha statue shattered, and a ball of Buddha's light enveloped Suyu and the others. Chirp! Right at this moment, a sharp sound of the air being torn apart exploded. With a heavenly halberd in hand, White Azura struck the light barrier with an earth-shattering might. An eerie aura filled the air. The entire light barrier shook violently, but it barely managed to hold on. Suyu was secretly surprised. The defense of the Buddha's light was really strong. Even White Azura, with his demigod battle prowess, could do nothing about it. Bang! The White Azura's expression remained unchanged. He waved his heavenly register and attacked again. Not only did it have a huge force, but the eerie, ghostly aura also turned into long snakes that devoured the light barrier. As the light barrier shook, the light barrier gradually dimmed. Not good. This won't last more than an incense sticks time. Zwoli's expression changed. Sheng Ji's eyes flashed. "Zwoli, Suyu, the three of you hold White Azura back. Buy me some time." Without hesitation, the two of them stepped out of the light barrier. Suyu laughed bitterly in his heart. Even if he surrendered to the Thunder Demon now, the Thunder Demon would not forgive him. Now that things had come to this, he and Niyu could only survive if the Heavenly Ghost escaped. As for how they would escape from the Heavenly Ghost, they could only take it one step at a time. Suyu pretended to accept the order, attacking with EU. Zwoli hesitated for a moment, then braced himself and stood beside Suyu. With that, the three of them fought White Azura alone. Zwoli was at the level of Human King, but Suyu and EU were at the level of half-gods. "White Azura, kill them immediately. Don't let them disturb me." I need to regain control of the Thunder Sword. I need about half an incense stick's time. White Azura nodded. I know. He, the heavenly halberd in his hand, let out a ghostly howl. Layers of black bone energy surged out from the heavenly halberd. With a wave of the halberd, the sky was filled with ghost energy. Zwali took out a staff the length of a finger, imbuing it with spirit energy. The staff grew with the wind, becoming 10 feet long in the blink of an eye. Such a technique shocked Suyu. What kind of divine artifact was this? It could change its size at any time. Attack! Zwali grunted. I'll attack. The two of you hold him back. He shook his sleeves, charging forward with the staff in his hand. Suyu and Xia Jingyu flew to the sides, attacking from the sides. Thousand Thunder Finger. Suyu clasped his hands together. 3 purple rings of lightning circled his arms, the purple glow like a dream. There were also thousands of lightning bolts within them. Suyu was taken aback, and he was secretly shocked. This is Thousand Thunder Finger Stage 2 top class. Previously, he could only use 1 ring of lightning at the lower tier, but with Shang Ji's help, it had jumped to top class. The methods of the fairy realm are too shocking. Suyu's confidence increased. With a loud grunt, he controlled the 3 rings of lightning to attack. Seeing this, Zwali was delighted. A lightning-based magical power. Very good. We'll hold them off for an incense stick's time. It's not impossible. Xia Jingyu let out a shout, spitting out a mouthful of air, bringing with it a hazy mist. In an instant, the mist of heaven and earth surrounded Suyu and Zwali. Stage 3 Immortal Level Technique. Zwali's expression changed. Suyu was even more shocked. This woman had cultivated an immortal level technique to such a level. The White Azura let out a cold grunt, sweeping the heavenly halberd around him. Everywhere it passed, the air trembled and the spirit energy of heaven and earth became chaotic. Suyu's heart was in his throat, his expression extremely grave. Thump! Zwali's staff, which was illuminated by Buddha's light, was sent flying. A black arc of light passed through the staff, striking Zwali's chest. The surface of Zwali's body rippled, dissolving the sure kill attack. Only the remnant force caused Zwali to retreat a few steps, blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. Zwali's face was pale. Thank you, Lord EU. The water vapor around Xia Jingyu dissipated, and her water substitute easily dodged the attack. Finally, it was Suyu's 3 rings of lightning. The first ring of lightning was destroyed, sparks flying everywhere. The second ring of lightning lasted for a moment before the heavenly halberd destroyed it. The third ring of lightning suddenly exploded, dissipating most of the heavenly halberd's ghost energy. A bolt of lightning passed through the heavenly halberd and struck the White Azura's palm. His body shook violently, lightning coursing through his body. His foot-long white hair was suddenly set ablaze. His indifferent face revealed a look of shock. His body shook, shaking off the burning white hair. When he looked at Suyu again, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. Chapter 423. Pagoda Ghost Appear. White Azura let out a low grunt. His chest, which was covered in white hair, suddenly ignited with a ball of black flames, forming a ferocious ghost face. Then, within the image, a churning ghost energy surged forth. And from within the ghost chi, a dark green ghost claw silently stretched out. It left a trail in the air as it shot towards Wali. It was so fast that it was difficult for the naked eye to follow. Wali's expression changed, and he frantically injected spirit energy into the staff. At that moment, the staff glowed brightly, like a blazing sun. All the ghost energy within 1,000 feet disappeared. Clang, crack! A shocking scene ensued. Even though the dark green ghost claw had been partially melted by the Buddha's glow, it still broke through the water veil and grabbed at the staff. After holding on for a moment, the staff shattered. Wali's expression changed. He threw down the staff and once again stuck a palm of talismans onto his body. At that moment, a layer of armor weaved with Sanskrit covered his body. Creak! The ghost claw exploded the moment it collided with the armor. But at the moment of explosion, it did not fear death. It thrust forward and pierced through Zhuo Li's chest. Zhuo Li's eyes dimmed, and his body went limp. Su Yu's heart skipped a beat. Even Zhuo Li, who was full of treasures, had been reduced to such a state. If he did not use his trump card, he would die here. Xia Jingyu's expression could not be seen clearly, but a terrifying force was gathering around her. She was probably preparing a powerful attack. Above his head, a gigantic butterfly condensed. It was lifelike and lifelike. Su Yu's eyes flickered, and a crimson jade clone appeared behind him. After being tempered by Shang Ji's vital energy, the clone was even more solid, similar to Su Yu himself. There was no aura leaking from its body, just like a normal spirit energy clone. The two of them attacked just as White Azura was about to finish off Zhuo Li, his energy depleted. White Azura's expression changed. He could only draw a circle in the air with his halberd, blocking his body. Su Yu and his clone closed in on him at the same time. Clenching his fist, layers of cold energy flowed within his palm. The divine herb formed from ice beside his dantian glowed coldly. Thump! The fist that seemed to be able to condense all things struck the halberd. With a cautious sound, a layer of frost instantly formed on the heavenly halberd. At the same time, White Azura's entire body was also rapidly frozen, becoming extremely stiff. A look of horror appeared on his face. Ice Dao has been cultivated to the extreme, condensing an origin. How is this possible? Gritting his teeth, he roared furiously and shattered the ice covering his body. Then, he drove his ghostly aura to dispel the ice that had invaded his body. However, at this moment, Xia Jingyu's water butterfly suddenly appeared. The water butterfly's wings flapped, and the blood in Azura's body flew out uncontrollably from his pores. Looking from afar, they looked like red lines of blood shooting over. All of the blood was devoured by the water butterflies, turning into blood butterflies in the blink of an eye. White Azura's heart trembled violently. He forcefully suppressed his chi and blood, but the blood in his body was no longer under his control. Water, Dao, perfection. The White Azura was astonished once again. He watched as 20% of his blood essence was drawn away in the blink of an eye, and a feeling of fatigue and weakness assaulted him. A sense of danger surged in his heart. Ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. You forced me to do this. Crack. White Azura exerted force with both his palms, breaking the heavenly halberd into two pieces. A pitch-black scale fell out from within. Shang Ji's expression changed. A demonic dragon scale. You secretly made a deal with the demonic dragon? You deserve to die. White Azura crushed the scale with his palms. At that moment, a black fog filled the air, transforming into a dragon the size of a palm. It looked small and delicate, but it emitted a frightening power. It was an aura close to that of the fairy realm. You finally used me. The deal is complete. I'll help you once and take 30% of her blood essence. The small demonic dragon was expressionless as it bit White Azura's wrist, sucking the blood essence. Shang Ji's eyes turned cold. You are no match for this demonic dragon. Even though the two of them had teamed up to fight against a half-god, Shanggu had felt some hope. But the demonic dragon's appearance made her despair. She ordered Su Yu and Yu to escape. Yu and Su Yu obeyed, turning to escape. But White Azura's expression was one of hatred. You're leaving now? It's too late. Having absorbed enough blood essence, the demonic dragon let out a low roar. Its voice was filled with demonic power. The water butterfly was shattered on the spot, freeing White Azura from danger. Following that, the demonic dragon's black light flashed. The next moment, it appeared behind Xia Jingyu. Its black claws ignored her defenses, piercing through the water and easily striking her back. Whew! Xia Jingyu spat out a mouthful of blood. She had suffered a heavy blow, collapsing to the ground. She had fainted. Such a simple attack had such a frightening effect. Su Yu was shocked. The next moment, the demonic dragon turned its head to look at Su Yu, its black light flashing again. Su Yu's pupils shrank to the size of a needle. Without thinking, he activated the short skyline wings and moved 10,000 feet away. Rumble. Almost at the same time, the mystic dragon appeared where it had been before. A black crack had appeared from the impact. A crack in space. This was an attack that only a fairy realm could achieve. Suyu's hair stood on end. The demonic dragon let out a cold laugh, once again turning its head to look at Suyu. Its black eyes made Suyu feel as if he had fallen into an ice house. Clenching his teeth, Suyu glanced at the unconscious Xia Jingyu, his eyes cold. Raising a finger, the spirit energy within a 100-mile radius surged, gathering above Suyu's head, forming a giant Lin character. The murderous intent of thousands of soldiers and horses filled it. White Azura's expression turned serious. This is a legendary level technique. The demonic dragon froze, a hint of shock in its eyes. You actually have a legendary level cultivation technique. This is unbelievable. Shunga looked at Suyu as if she was looking at a stranger. Lin, she growled, suppressing the Lin character. The demonic dragon and White Azura were both enveloped within it. The Lin character exploded. The powerful sound waves and murderous intent stirred the winds and clouds in all directions. A giant whirlpool-shaped crater 1,000 feet wide was blasted into the ground. The destructive power shattered everything. When the dust settled, White Azura's face was ashen, his hands in front of his chest. His entire body was a mess of blood and flesh. A few of his wounds were so deep that his bones could be seen. His injuries were not light. The demonic dragon's glow dimmed, and it was difficult for him to maintain his form. You have injured me to this extent. Lad, I will tear you apart. White Azura was enraged, his hatred soaring. The demonic dragon also revealed a hint of coldness. Hehe, a legendary level technique. To think that someone in a barren land like the Void Realm would know a legendary level technique. How unexpected. Unfortunately, you are still young. Otherwise, I would be wary of you. Suyu's expression darkened. The power of the Lin character was very close to that of a half-god, but it was not fatal. But a cold light flashed in his eyes. The demonic dragon's body suddenly twitched, a dangerous aura descending. A scarlet figure had appeared behind him out of nowhere. The figure clenched its fists, grabbing the demonic dragon. At the same time, a frightening scarlet flame surged forth, burning the demonic dragon. Ah, lad, you! The demonic dragon roared, struggling with all his might. The flames were effective against demonic qualities. His entire body was burning, causing black energy to surge. Thousand Thunder Finger. But Suyu did not give it a chance. 3 rings of lightning descended from the sky, wrapping around the demonic dragon's body. The rings of lightning shrank until they were as thick as 3 fingers. They tightly wrapped around the demonic dragon's body. The powerful power of the lightning caused the demonic dragon to roar in pain. The black energy around its body surged outward. Finally, with a roar, the demonic dragon dissipated on the spot, turning into a black scale that fell to the ground. A scarlet palm grabbed the scale and returned to Suyu's side. All of this seemed to take a long time, but it had actually happened in the blink of an eye. The ferocious demonic dragon had been successfully subdued. Of course, a large part of the reason was that the demonic energy was effective against it. If you were to face a half-god, Suyu could only flee. White Azura gasped in astonishment. Half an incense stick's time was almost up. Mo had finally succeeded in controlling the Cosmos Thundersword. A shocking sword energy shot into the sky. Ha ha, heavenly ghost. I've won in the end. Mo laughed maniacally, his palm striking the Cosmos Thundersword. White Azura heaved a sigh of relief. He was injured, and 30% of his blood essence had been devoured by the demonic dragon and 20% by Xia Jingyu's water butterfly. He was extremely weak, and his battle power was only at the level of a human king. If this continued, he might be killed by the human in front of him. Shang Ji's expression changed, her eyes flickering. Finally, she clenched her teeth and shouted, "Suyu, come here!" Suyu flew over expressionlessly, standing in front of a lightning dragon. The only thing we can do now is to take the last gamble. Fortunately, you have the bloodline of the evil ghost, so this technique can still be used. However, Shang-Gu was extremely unwilling, but seeing the appearance of the Thunder Sword, she could only clench her teeth and accept her fate. I will pass the 100 Ghosts secret scroll to you. This way, you can use this scroll to temporarily borrow my cultivation level, allowing you to reach the fairy realm. So you was shocked. Cultivation level could be borrowed, and at the fairy realm? Chapter 424. Shang-Gu did not notice what Suyu was thinking. The borrowed cultivation level is not the result of my own cultivation. If I do not disperse it in time, my dantian will be destroyed, and my body and soul will be destroyed. Suyu shuddered, and he forcefully suppressed his various thoughts. Shang-Gu took a deep breath, spitting out a black pearl from her mouth. It was shrouded in ghostly energy. The pearl was engraved with intricate words. "This is the 100 Ghosts secret scroll," said Shang-Gu. "It contains my understanding of it. If I infuse it into your body, you'll be able to comprehend it for a short period of time, reaching a level where you can withstand my cultivation level." Suyu clenched his fist, placing the black pearl in front of his forehead. With a whirring sound, the pearl entered Suyu's forehead. At that moment, a cold, unfamiliar energy surged into his soul. It was a piece of understanding. It was the understanding of the 100 Ghosts secret scroll regarding the transfer of cultivation level. Other than that, the rest of the understanding had been sealed by Shang-Gu, and Suyu had no way of knowing. According to this understanding, borrowing someone else's cultivation level was not an easy task. It required a specific divine artifact or constitution. The bloodline of the evil ghost was one of those requirements. There's no time to lose. Activate the bloodline of the evil ghost according to the understanding. Shang-Gu let out a low grunt, her black and white eyes releasing black ripples. A majestic, obscure energy was contained within them. With a thought, a layer of blood red appeared on Suyu's body, forming a vortex on the surface of his body. The surging ripples were all sucked into the vortex. In that instant, Suyu let out a pathetic cry, his entire body trembling as if he had been electrocuted. A heart-wrenching pain shot deep into his soul. He felt as if he was about to explode. This was because the bloodline of the evil ghost was carrying the cultivation level of the fairy realm. His physical body was only slightly affected. If not for that, the cultivation level alone would have killed him. But the effect was obvious. Suyu's cultivation level rose rapidly, reaching Heaven Master in the blink of an eye. He easily passed the human king and half-god realms, closing in on the fairy realm. Lemo's expression changed. "Not good. Quick, kill him." The eyelids of the black-faced Azura twitched. Clenching his teeth, he tore open a piece of flesh on his chest, tearing the ghostly face into a bloody mess. Ga. Along with a ghostly howl, a ghostly claw that was 30% larger than the one that had killed Zwali appeared in the void. With this grab, the black fog tumbled, and there was even a piercingly cold and sinister energy spreading out. The two of them were not far from each other, and the ghostly claw was extremely fast, not giving Suyu enough time to react. Suyu, who had been on guard against the Azura, had no time to digest Shang-Ji's energy. His shoulder tilted, and he slid 100 feet to the side, narrowly avoiding the ghostly claw. Your reaction speed is quite fast, but it's still a bit weak." The ghostly claw unexpectedly spoke in the human language. With a flash of black light, it once again clawed forward. At the same time, Azura, who was behind him, took advantage of the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. He curled his fist and aimed it at Suyu's chest. Suyu's expression turned cold. His left palm was filled with ice, while his right palm was filled with lightning. He dealt with the attacks from both sides at the same time. With a cracking sound, the frightening cold air blocked the ghostly claw. His right palm, on the other hand, easily grasped the Azura's inhuman body. In such a casual manner, he had deterred 2 attacks. Azura's heart thumped. Without thinking, He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood exploded, transforming into a blood-colored, ghostly face. Its mouth spat out a foul wind as it ruthlessly bit toward Suyu. At such a close distance, almost face to face, how could Suyu escape and deal with such a sudden attack? At this critical moment, the 3 rings of lightning on Suyu's body flew out. With a cultivation level of half-god, the power of the rings of lightning increased by several levels. The ghostly face in the blood fog let out a pathetic howl before it was turned into nothingness by the rings of lightning. The rings of lightning did not slow down. The 3 rings of lightning bombarded Azura's body. Puff, puff, puff. After spitting out 3 mouthfuls of blood, Azura's entire body was burned by the thunder and fire. His body was charred black, and he fell heavily to the ground. The black-faced Azura, whose name shook the dragon abyss, had fallen in front of the crowd. After doing this, Suyu's movement technique did not stop. With a single step, he covered a distance of 100 feet, as if he had teleported. Reaching Lei Mo, Suyu's fists were surrounded by a layer of purple lightning as he struck Lei Mo's chest. Seeing this, shock flashed past Lei Mo's eyes. It was replaced by a cold smile. You still dare to come forward and accept your death with the thunder sword in your hands. His 10 fingers formed a series of afterimages as he quickly formed seals. Hurry! With a low grunt, the Cosmos Thunder Sword within the volcano suddenly shot out a bolt of greenish-white lightning. It was like a beam of light, creating a long trail of flames in the air as it bombarded Suyu. With a bang, Suyu was forced back 7 to 8 steps, his figure staggering. His right fist was charred, revealing traces of blood. A trickle of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. There was also a bolt of greenish-white lightning within his body, destroying his blood essence and life force. How could a mere bolt of lightning injure a half-god like him to such an extent? If he were an immortal realm level 4, he would have been destroyed in an instant. Seeing the lightning wreaking havoc within his body, Suyu let out a cold grunt. He forcefully revolved the purple lightning within his body to block the greenish-white lightning from devouring him. The two collided within Suyu's body, producing the sound of beans being fried. But the purple lightning was clearly weaker than the greenish-white lightning. It was forced back, only able to slow down the greenish-white lightning's destruction of his body. He had to end this quickly. With a low grunt, he formed seals with his hands. The ice divine herb beside his dantian, under the support of his powerful cultivation base, left his body and emerged from his abdomen. The divine herb swayed gently, creating a bone-chilling wind. With a cracking sound, the divine herb transformed into 9 ice leaves, shooting forward with a whooshing sound. Lei Mo did not expect Suyu to be able to block an attack from the Thunder Sword. His expression changed, but the surface of his body suddenly flickered with a patch of black lightning. Lightning surged out, weaving into a net of lightning in the air, and suddenly enveloped the 9 ice leaves. Puff, 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 the ice leaf collided with the lightning net, shattering with a sound. But the light of the lightning net dimmed, flickering. A moment later, with a whimper, the lightning net collapsed on the spot. The remaining ice leaf shot into Thunder Demon's chest with a whoosh. The bone-chilling cold caused Lei Mo pain. His face was filled with fury. You are asking for death, but just as he said the word death, Suyu let out a cold grunt. Explode. The ice leaf that had entered Lei Mo's body exploded. A bloody hole the size of a bowl appeared in his chest. The shattered ice had penetrated his limbs and bones. Lei Mo finally panicked. He flicked his fingers, his body retreating quickly. Thunder Sword destroy. On the Thunder Sword, the 9 flags flashed wildly, black fog spreading. The Cosmos Thunder Sword buzzed lightly, clearly about to explode. Not good. He wants to control the power of the Thunder Sword. Shengji's expression was grave. Lei Mo laughed maniacally, his 5 fingers gripping the air as if he was holding a sword. He swung his palm towards Suyu. Die. Along with his accessories, the 300-meter-tall lightning sword slashed down vertically. The sword moved, and the entire dragon abyss shook. Suyu felt like he was a candle flickering in the wind. Suddenly, he realized that under the power of the shocking sword, his body was under heavy pressure. His blood vessels were heavy, and he could not circulate them in the slightest. Not good. Seeing that the sword was about to destroy his body and soul, the last bit of energy within Shang Ji's ripples finally exploded. Rumble. Suyu's cultivation level had surpassed half-god and entered the fairy realm. In that instant, a feeling of disdain and invincibility arose from deep within his heart. At that moment, he felt as if he had transcended the shackles of heaven and earth, becoming a fairy realm cultivator. Suppressing the emotions in his heart, his body turned into a blurry shadow as the thunder sword slashed down, disappearing from his original spot. Rumble. The thunder sword slashed down. A 10,000-foot-long sword energy sliced the abyss city in half. The ground cracked, lava gushing out of the ground, spraying in all directions. The remaining sword energy shattered the sword energy on both sides, pushing the houses tens of thousands of feet away. Looking from above, more than half of the abyss city had been destroyed. How could a casual attack be so powerful? Lemo's pupils dilated. His hands continuously formed seals, and the thunder sword rose again. Suyu grunted coldly, stepping down from above. The sky shook violently, a shred of vital energy leaking out. At that moment, the clouds in all directions churned. Countless martial artists on the ground felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them. Lemo's hands stopped forming seals. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his body turning into a rain of blood with a bang. A half-god had exploded with a single stomp. Suyu did not have the time to be shocked by the power of the fairy realm. He felt an intense pain in his body. His body contracted and expanded, like a balloon about to explode. Thump! The Cosmos Thunder sword lost control, and the lightning dragon trapping Shang Gu collapsed. Her figure flickered as she flew to Suyu's side. She quickly tapped the space between Suyu's brows. A ripple was forcefully released from between Suyu's brows. The power of the fairy realm that had fused with the bloodline of the evil ghost dissipated like the tide. Her swollen body gradually calmed down. Suyu gasped for breath. He felt exhausted, as if all his energy had been sucked out of him. Shang-gu pressed the ripple into her body, her cultivation level recovering. Her face gradually regained its color, and she had a look of joy. Well done. Suyu nodded, dumbfounded. Your cultivation level is incredible. I was just helping you. Shang-gu was in a good mood. No need to be humble. I am fair with my rewards and punishments. Since you saved my life, I might let you go after we leave the Dragon Abyss. How about this? Follow me for 50 years, and I will return your freedom. Suyu replied expressionlessly. Thank you for your gift. Nodding her chin, Shang-gu looked at the lightning sword in front of her, a look of fear on her face. All right, I will leave the task of retrieving the lightning sword to you. This sword has a restraining effect on me, so it would be more convenient for you to retrieve it. Shang-gu grabbed with her 5 fingers, and a shocking scene appeared. The 100 Zhong Cosmos Thunder sword roared with thunder, gradually shrinking. Finally, it turned into a 3-foot-long green and white sword, lying in front of Suyu. After observing it for a while, Shang-gu smiled in satisfaction. Not bad. It is close to a spiritual artifact, but it is still lacking. Otherwise, it would be a valuable spiritual artifact. Spiritual artifact? Suyu's heart moved. Wasn't a divine artifact the highest grade of weapon? This is a technique to control spell formations. Take it and study it. You must control this sword within half a day. Shang-gu threw the technique to him, then went to check on Xia Jingyu's injuries. She had only fainted, and after injecting a shred of vital energy unique to the fairy realm into her, she regained consciousness. Following which, Shang-gu tapped her feet, creating a gust of wind that brought Suyu and Xia Jingyu to the Messy Rocks ruins. Chapter 425. Xia Jingyu sat cross-legged and closed her eyes to recuperate. Suyu was recuperating as he studied the spell. The spell was not difficult, and he did not spend much time mastering it. Shungu did not let Suyu use his blood to refine it, but used the spell to control it. It looked like she valued the Cosmos Thunder sword a lot. Once it was used, she would take it away. There were 2 vital energy crystals in Suyu's body, and he could use the Cosmos Thunder sword twice. Suyu pondered secretly. If he had the right opportunity, this sword might become his possession. Shungu was recuperating. A moment later, she creased her brows and muttered, "That's weird. Why is my vital energy depleted so quickly? Could it be that after he borrowed it just now, he could not control himself and leaked too much?" Looking at Suyu suspiciously, Shungu laughed at herself. She took out a crystalline elixir and stuffed it into her mouth painfully. The vital energy she had lost quickly recovered. "It looks like I have to use that chance to return to Jojo as soon as possible. Otherwise, in the Void Realm without vital energy, the few elixirs I have to replenish my vital energy will not last long." Half a day later, "Try controlling the Thunder Sword through the spell," Shungu calmly said. Suyu formed a seal with both hands, and the spell of the Cosmos Thunder Sword shook continuously. Under its guidance, the Cosmos Thunder Sword slowly swam around. Although it was a little shaky, he could successfully control the Thunder Sword. Shung-Ji's small face was filled with joy and excitement. "Great! Mission accomplished." She looked toward the exit of the Dragon Abyss. A faintly discernible seal was floating. "Humph! The Void World Senior, the King of Darkness, and that ox knows who sealed me back then. I will take revenge on you." She clasped her hands behind her back. "Both of you, remember to act as if nothing has happened. Walk to the exit of the Dragon Abyss and activate the token. Only then will the guarding ox nose release a portion of the seal, reducing its power to its lowest. Black Snow, use this opportunity to use the Cosmos Thunder Sword to break the seal. Remember, you must grasp the timing. This seal is no small matter. Even the Fairy Realm cannot do anything about it. It can only be destroyed by the Cosmos Thunder Sword when it weakens. Once an opening appears, I will be able to see the light of day again." Suyu and Xiaojingyu nodded respectfully. "Yes." Shunga nodded and warned, "You must pretend that nothing has happened. Don't arouse the suspicion of that cow nose. I didn't take your storage pouches, and I didn't let any of you be corroded by the ghost energy. I even chose to use the weakest heavenly ghost heart planting technique to ensure that Ox Nose would lower his guard and weaken the restrictive spell." The 2 of them nodded respectfully. Shungu took out a strange talisman from the small pocket on her waist, as if she was performing a magic trick. She stuck it on her forehead, and her figure mysteriously disappeared. It was clearly right in front of her, but it felt like air. Suyu's heart turned cold. Without batting an eyelid, he used his soul eyes. However, he could only discover a faint, transparent outline. "What is this talisman? How magical! All right, move out and listen to my orders." Shung-Ji's voice came from the transparent space in front of him. Suyu and Xia Jingyu soared into the sky without uttering another word. They both rushed toward the entrance of the Dragon Abyss. A strange light flashed in the depths of his eyes. If they really let this heavenly ghost enter the Zhenlong continent, with its abilities, the consequences would be unimaginable. Furthermore, Suyu's life and death depended on a single thought from her. Whether or not he could escape from her depended on this final gamble. In the center of the messy rock ruins, the black pond water rippled gently. If Suyu was there, he would have realized that this strange black pond was the pond that hid a mysterious, ferocious creature. At this moment, the pond water moved without any wind. The whispers of 2 women could be heard, following which a soft chuckle could be heard before it dissipated. Shungus seemed to sense something. She lowered her head to look, a hint of doubt appearing between her brows. But they had already arrived at the entrance of the Dragon Abyss. Shungu had no time to care, her expression grave. Suyu secretly took a breath, his expression calm as he walked to the entrance. He took out the token of the Dragon Abyss of the 9 underworlds with Xia Jingyu and inserted a shred of spirit energy into it. Whoosh, above the Dragon Abyss, the sloppy old man flew over with a smile. He did not immediately undo the seal of the dragon abyss. Instead, he took out a mirror and shone it at Su Yu and Xia Jingyu. Looks like there are no problems. You two kids have some abilities to be able to escape from the Azura. Su Yu was unconcerned. Elder, you flatter us. We were just lucky. How could the two of us escape from a half-god? Elder, please undo the seal and let us out. The sloppy old man let out a drunken burp. Then, of course, later, I will undo a portion of the seal. You can insert spirit energy into the token of the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds. That way, you'll be able to use the power of space to pass through the seal and return to the outside world. Su Yu was filled with excitement. Thank you, Elder. The sloppy old man casually spat a mouthful of wine onto the seal. The seal shook and rippled. It shrank from a zhang thick to a foot thick, only 1/10 of its original thickness. Shengge held her breath, her face filled with excitement. She secretly sent a message to Su Yu. All right, now is the time. Activate a vital energy crystal and unleash the Cosmos Thunder Sword to break the seal. Whoosh! A light flashed in Su Yu's palm. A greenish-white long sword appeared in his palm. Su Yu raised his arm high. The vital energy crystal in his dantian turned into majestic vital energy, gushing out and entering the Cosmos Thunder Sword. At that moment, a shocking sword energy like never before exploded. The entire dragon abyss trembled continuously, as if it was about to collapse. With the activation of the celestial feather realm, the Cosmos Thunder Sword exploded with a power that far exceeded that of the Thunder Demon. Such a shocking attack would definitely destroy the seal. But Su Yu, who was about to slash at the seal, suddenly spun on the spot and slashed at Shengge. The sudden scene stunned Shengge. She could not believe what she was seeing. Regaining her senses, she let out a cold laugh. I knew there was something wrong with you. How cunning of you to keep me in the dark until now. Oomph. You do it. As she spoke, she turned into a blur and attacked Su Yu to snatch the Cosmos Thunder Sword. Yi was completely under Su Yu's control. Hearing the order, she formed a water sword in her sleeves and slashed at Su Yu without hesitation. But the person she slashed at was not Su Yu, but Shengge. The sudden attack caused Shengge to turn pale with fright. How is this possible? Even you betrayed me? Could the heavenly ghost mind planting technique be useless against the two of you? Xia Jingyu regained her expression, saying hurriedly, Black Snow, do not worry. I will help you activate the token of the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds. She grabbed a token in each hand and activated it at the same time. A ripple of space surrounded the two of them, enveloping them. With Xia Jingyu's sudden attack, Shengge was momentarily obstructed, creating an opportunity for Su Yu's sword. Rumble, the sword glowed. 1,000-foot-long sword energy, accompanied by lightning and a sharp sword glow, slashed towards Shengji's petite figure. Shengge was both shocked and furious. You two deserve to die. With a furious roar, Shengge did not dare take the attack head-on, retreating quickly. Chapter 4:26. With a grab of her small hand, the vital energy crystal in Su Yu's dantian froze, as if it was being pulled by something. Even Su Yu himself was pulled out of the teleportation. Su Yu's expression changed. The techniques of the fairy realm were unexpected. His heart trembled. If he had been held back, he did not even need to think about the consequences. Especially when he met Shengji's furious eyes, Su Yu felt a chill in his heart. But at that moment, the sloppy old man's strange laughter came from above the seal. Interesting. I was prepared to watch a good show. To think that even you were fooled by these two kids. After saying this, his hands grabbed downwards. 2 huge, green hands passed through the seal, grabbing Su Yu and Xia Jingyu and pulling them out of the dragon abyss. Shengge was furious. Where do you think you're going? The sloppy old man blew a mouthful of air toward the seal. The sword light, which had been deflected, changed its trajectory and struck Shengji's body. Shengge was caught off guard. She let out a furious roar, her entire body filled with ghost energy, forming a black armor on the surface of her body. The sword light struck the armor, creating intense sparks. Shungu was crazily injecting vital energy into the armor. The two of them were locked in a stalemate for 3 breaths. With a cracking sound, the armor shattered. Shungu let out a pathetic cry, a burn mark left on her chest as she flew backward. Her face was pale, her entire body dim with ghost energy. The light in her eyes had also dimmed. Her entire body was filled with residual lightning. Her body had been damaged, and she was clearly severely injured. As her body fell into the darkness, her black and white eyes glared at Suyu, filled with hatred. He had used her vital energy crystal and the thunder sword she had snatched back to injure her severely. From the start, it had been Suyu who had been fooling her, not her. Thinking about this, Shungu hated him to the core. Her plan to escape, which she had prepared for 1,000 years, had been destroyed by him alone. Being stared at by that gaze, Suyu felt a chill down his spine. But this woman would be trapped in the abyss forever, so there was no need to worry. Seeing that the seal had started to recover after they came out, Suyu heaved a sigh of relief. He had been on tenterhooks during his days of being controlled. Now he felt a sense of relief, as if he had been released from a huge burden. Right at this moment, the sloppy old man's smiling face suddenly stiffened. He lowered his head to look at the dragon abyss beneath his feet. His expression gradually turned grave. Suyu also felt a fiendish aura rising from the bottom of the dragon abyss. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar caused the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds to shake violently. The surrounding sea surged and roared angrily against the shore. In fact, the entire Jinlong continent could hear this dragon roar that pierced through the clouds. Crack! Mist churned at the bottom of the dragon abyss, and a huge tail covered in scales slammed into the sky from the black water. The restrictive spell of the dragon abyss shattered. A petite figure was swept out of the dragon abyss and into the outside world by the shocking force. Shungu was stunned at first, then she was overjoyed. He formed a seal with his hands, and his body blurred as he appeared 1,000 feet away. At that moment, the sloppy old man slapped at the spot where he had been standing. The old man's expression turned cold as his palms struck empty air. Little demon, don't seek your own death. In the dragon abyss, no one had found trouble with her. But now that she had escaped to the outside world, the fairy realm experts of the Jinlong continent would not allow a heavenly ghost to roam the continent. Shungu let out a cold grunt. Thanks to you, I've been sealed for ages. I will settle this score in the future. Her figure blurred again, preparing to leave. Before she left, she gave Suyu a cruel smile. Black Snow Devil King, I will remember you. No one in the Jinlong continent can save you. Leaving behind a reverberating voice, Shungu fled with her heavily injured body. The sloppy old man's expression turned grave. He wanted to chase after her, but the dragon abyss was more important. He bit the tip of his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of blood to cover the restrictive spell. The damaged restrictive spell rapidly recovered and was soon restored to its original state. The sloppy old man stared at the bottomless dragon abyss, his eyes gloomy. A moment later, he looked at the Cosmos Thunder Sword in Suyu's hands and sighed. The eye of the spell has indeed been taken out. This is bad. Eye of the spell? Suyu was shocked, looking at the Cosmos Thunder Sword in shock. The dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds is a crack in the world of the Jinlong continent. It should have led to another world. In the past, it was the passageway for the Jinlong continent to enter that world, until the calamity descended, and this passageway was taken over by a demonic dragon. To prevent this demonic dragon from invading the Jinlong continent, the 3 of us fairies forged a thunder sword that gathered the vital energy of heaven and earth. We used it as the eye of the spell to seal the passageway. Now that the eye of the spell has been taken out, the demonic dragon can move a little. The restrictive spell was broken by the demonic dragon just now. Suyu was shocked. The dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds was once a passageway that connected 2 worlds? This piece of news was truly unimaginable. Thinking of the dragon's sealing well, which was 100,000 feet wide, and the giant claw mark that was left behind, Suyu suddenly understood. Could that well be the crevice tunnel? The demonic dragon's body was too large, said the old man. It should not have been able to pass through the crack. But after so many years, it managed to open up a few fine cracks in the dragon abyss. That black pool was one of them. Part of its body could pass through those fine cracks and appear in the dragon abyss. The sloppy old man had a serious expression. In the future, no one can enter the dragon abyss. This place is a dangerous place. Su Yu's heart moved. He held the Cosmos Thunder Sword and thought quickly. If that was the case, would he have to hand over the Cosmos Thunder Sword? There is no reason for the sloppy old man to give a treasure that was close to a spiritual artifact to Su Yu. All right, this sword is not something you can possess. Hand it over. The sloppy old man waved his hand, and the Cosmos Thunder Sword flew uncontrollably into his palm. Also, if there is nothing else, leave quickly. This place might be dangerous. Su Yu opened his mouth, thinking for a moment. Elder, could you lend me this sword to protect myself for a period of time? Oh, the sloppy old man was a little surprised, but he immediately understood Su Yu's intentions. He wanted to use it to prevent the revenge of the heavenly ghost. He should have rejected Su Yu on the spot, but the sloppy old man sank into deep thought, his eyes flickering with an uncertain expression. A moment later, he looked at Su Yu and muttered, "This sword is an item from Jiuzhou. Its grade far exceeds that of a divine artifact. Logically speaking, you do not have the right to touch it. But if you agree to one of my conditions, it might not be impossible." Su Yu was secretly shocked, but his expression was calm. "I am but an immortal realm level 4 junior. I do not know how I am worthy of Elder's attention. But if Elder has any requests, please let me know." Chapter 4:27. Su Yu was surprised. He thought for a moment, then said, "Elder, please tell me. If it is within my abilities, I will do my best." Haha, there is no need to be nervous. Even though this is difficult, it is not impossible for you. The sloppy old man chuckled. In a few months, the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion will descend upon the Jinlong continent. My condition is that you enter the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion and assist my beloved disciple in obtaining a treasure for me. Mysterious heavenly divine pavilion. Su Yu creased his brows. What was that? Whoosh! The sloppy old man took out a drop of blood and inserted it into the Cosmos Thunder Sword. He then tossed the Cosmos Thunder Sword to Su Yu. Take this sword to protect yourself. There's a drop of my blood within it. If I do not retrieve it personally, you will not be able to refine it, the sloppy old man said. The sloppy old man said, once you retrieve the treasure that this old man wants, not only will this old man extract the blood essence, but I will also help you refine this treasure. Su Yu was delighted. He gripped the Cosmos Thunder Sword, his eyes flashing. Elder, are you not afraid that I will be swept away by this sword? The sloppy old man laughed, taking down the wine gourd from his shoulder. He shook it, but what came out was not wine. Instead, it was a yellowed ancient scroll with unfamiliar words written on it. A space divine artifact? Su Yu was shocked. The Heart's Oath Scroll. Xia Jingyu's expression froze, and she let out a cry of surprise. The Heart's Oath Scroll that only existed 10,000 years ago has long been lost to the continent. To think that I would be able to see it in your hands. The sloppy old man was slightly surprised. Little girl, you know quite a bit. There are less than 100 people on the continent who understand the Heart's Oath Scroll. That's right, this is the Heart's Oath Scroll. As long as one swears to this scroll and inserts a drop of blood, unless the oath is completed, the scroll can use the blood left within to kill the person who made the oath from tens of millions of miles away. Su Yu was shocked. There was such a strange item, but that made sense. The sloppy old man had never met him before. If he had given the Cosmos Thunder Sword to him without any precautions, Su Yu would have been suspicious. If I'm not strong enough and fail to fulfill my oath, will I suffer the same misfortune? Su Yu frowned slightly. The sloppy old man chuckled. That won't be necessary. If it's because of some irreversible factor, or if the difficulty is too great and you can't complete it, I will naturally destroy the scroll of the Heart's Oath. In short, regardless of the final success or failure, this sword belongs to you. So, do you have any more questions? Su Yu let go of his doubts. calmly sacrificed a drop of his blood essence and injected it into the scroll. He then swore to it. With a flash of green light, the ancient scroll swallowed the blood essence. All right, there are still 2 months before the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion. If you're willing to stay on the island, you can do so. If you have other matters to attend to, I will not accompany you. However, after 2 months, you must come back here to meet me. Suyu cupped his fists and bowed. I still have important matters to attend to, so I will surely come here in 2 months to meet up with you. Senior, we're the 2 people who traveled with us. Suyu immediately inquired about Siener's whereabouts. The sloppy old Taoist pointed to the west. The people from the Heavenly Law Union took them away. They should be in the west. Suyu and Xia Jingyu cupped their fists in gratitude, teaming up to leave. Old man, that Cosmos Thunder Sword was prepared for you to pass the ordeal. Are you going to give it to the Black Snow Devil King so easily? A blurry shadow flashed by. It was Gang Dalei. The sloppy old Taoist laughed. If you can bring back that treasure from the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion, what harm is there in giving the Cosmos Thunder Sword to him? Gang Dalei had a pensive look. Old man, I really don't know what you're up to. You seem to care a lot about this Black Snow Devil King. If not for your secret instructions, why would I give the bright earth milk, which I use to train my body, to him so easily? The sloppy old Taoist laughed without speaking, his eyes glowing. In the dragon abyss, the demonic energy of the dragon's ceiling, soared into the sky. Suddenly, a towering demonic claw swept past, sweeping away all of the humans who had been sacrificed around the well. In the depths of the dragon abyss, the faint whispers of a woman could be heard once again. Sister Tianxian, a mocking voice said, I am surprised that you would help that little demon and help him escape the crack in the void. This does not match your reputation as the heartless Tianxian. After a while, an extremely cold voice floated over. I naturally have my reasons for letting her go. Sister Tianxian, why hide it from me? You're doing this for the mysterious woman called EU, right? The mocking voice revealed a secret. Otherwise, the little demonic dragon in the hands of the white Azura, which was created from the demonic dragon scale, was more than enough to kill an ordinary fairy realm fighter. How could it have only knocked EU unconscious? Furthermore, it was easily beaten back to its original form by that young man. If not for your deliberate actions, they would have long been turned to dust. There was a hint of surprise in those cold words, and her voice suddenly sank. You're thinking too much. I guess correctly. I'm really curious about a woman that Mo Tianxian cares about. Let me think about it. Proficient in all kinds of cultivation methods, superb comprehension. Such a physique can only be explained by some ancient bloodlines. In the 9 states, ancient bloodlines are very precious. If you want to monopolize it, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. She is just a citizen of the Void Realm. How could she have an ancient bloodline? Furthermore, she is in the Void Realm. I do not have the ability to bring her to Jiuzhou. That's why little sister helped that little brat leave the rift and enter the Void Zone. That little brat is constantly thinking of returning to the 9 provinces. I'm sure that she will not miss the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion in 2 days' time. When that time comes, little sister will order her disciples to use their connection with that little brat to find the location of the people from the Void Zone. Then, by following the clues, they'll be able to find her. Mo Tianxuan's voice turned cold. Green Wan, you know too much. Green Wan laughed softly, but did not speak. The ancient well regained its silence. On an uninhabited island in the vast ocean, Suyu and EU stopped above a small island. It looks like the Heavenly Law Alliance passed by this place, Suyu said. Xia Jingyu glanced at Suyu from time to time, her eyes flickering with surprise. After a long while, she said, I really did not expect Mr. Black Snow to be able to resist the Heavenly Ghost Mind planting technique. I thought that you were really being controlled, so I was prepared to snatch your Cosmos Thunder Sword at the last moment. I did not expect that you would be so patient and even give the Heavenly Ghost a fierce blow. Suyu tilted his head and smiled. Miss EU is the one who really surprised me. I was merely lucky enough to remain conscious But Miss EU easily resisted it. You even went with the flow and pretended to be controlled. It is hard for me not to admire you. Back then, EU had pretended to be affected without hesitation, and Suyu had followed suit. Otherwise, he would not have known that the soul attack was a control technique, and he had nearly exposed himself. Seeing that Suyu was secretive and did not reveal the reason why he had avoided the mind-planning technique, she did not pursue the matter. She laughed softly. After knowing that she was the heavenly ghost, I took precautions. Coincidentally, I knew a little about the heavenly ghost mind-planning technique that she used, so I was able to deceive her. Back then, I was in a hurry, and with the heavenly ghost beside me, I could not warn you in time. I hope Sir Black Snow will not take it to heart. So you laughed. I can't even thank Miss EU enough. Why would I blame you? The only pity is that you are still short of 5 Dragon Abyss fruits. I was unable to fulfill my promise. Unexpectedly, EU smiled mysteriously. With a flash of jade light from her waist, a large number of Dragon Abyss fruits floated in front of her. There were 40 of them. So you was shocked. When it was the white-faced Azura who was killed. The moment he was killed, I secretly took away his pouch. At that time, all of you were focused on the traitorous black-faced Azura, so no one noticed my actions. After searching for a bit, I found nearly 30 complete Dragon Abyss fruits. Evil ghosts loved to consume Dragon Abyss fruits, so it was not surprising that the Azura would carry a large number of Dragon Abyss fruits with him. If that's the case, I can rest assured. Suyu secretly heaved a sigh of relief, secretly impressed by this woman's intelligence and wit. As the two of them were laughing, clouds suddenly surged above their heads. An incomparably huge battleship appeared. It was at least 100,000 miles long, and it covered the entire area. The sky was instantly covered in darkness, and one could not even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. Xia Jingyu gasped. The Heavenly Law Alliance's warship. Rumor has it that it is the continent's divine ship of salvation, the last fortress of the human race. I did not expect it to be so majestic, as expected of an existence that has existed for tens of thousands of years. So he was also shocked. Such a huge warship was comparable to a continent. It was at least as big as Shunyue Island. Creak, a deep and hollow sound came from the bottom of the warship. A thick metal door silently opened, revealing a brilliant white light that enveloped the two of them. With a creaking sound, they were sucked into the door. It was a ripple in space. The world spun. When Suyu's feet landed on the ground, he felt his center of gravity become unstable. He staggered and was about to fall. Without thinking, Suyu lowered his body, releasing a powerful physical strength to forcefully stabilize his body. At the same time, he heard a cry. It was Xia Jingyu, who had lost control of her center of gravity, falling. Suyu extended his right hand, grabbing her waist. Without another word, he shot out a ring of lightning, surrounding the two of them to prevent them from being attacked. Your physical strength is not bad. To think that you still have the strength to help others. You're also very experienced in dealing with enemies. A soft voice could be heard. Suyu looked over cautiously. It was a middle-aged man with a yellow face, carrying a long sword carved with stars. His whole body was filled with sword energy, extremely sharp. At that moment, he was looking at Suyu with admiration. Looking around, Suyu realized that Qin Xiener and Lord Qingzhu were also there. There were also 2 unfamiliar middle-aged men. One was a somewhat familiar man with hair in his 50s, and the other was a middle-aged woman who still retained her charm. What shocked Suyu was that all 3 of them, including the middle-aged man with the sword, were half-gods. Furthermore, they were not ordinary half-gods. The auras they released were similar to Shang-Ji's. Chapter 428. Black Snow, this place is safe. Why don't you put you down first? Lord Qingzhu's face was a little green. The joy of seeing Xia Jingyu alive was still evident on his face. Qin Xiener, who was at the side, looked at Xia Jingyu with a complicated expression. Suyu was stunned, but quickly regained his senses. He was still hugging Xia Jingyu. Suyu naturally let go of the ring of lightning. His eyes were clear, and he did not have any improper thoughts. Xia Jingyu's face also turned slightly red. She looked around and became serious. She bowed and said, "Greetings, North Star Sword Saint Zhao Wuji, Undead Phoenix Master Qiaoning Shui, and Song Dragon Alliance Master Long Juexin." North Star Sword Sage? Undead Phoenix Master? A powerful fighter from the northern continent? So you had heard of these two before. The North Star Sword Sage was from the 100 Territories Alliance, while the Undead Phoenix Master was the previous Master of the Phoenix Cabinet and the Master of the current Cabinet Master. The Yellow-Faced Swordsman was naturally the North Star Sword Sage, Zhao Wuji. The middle-aged woman standing beside Siener was naturally the Undead Phoenix Master Qiaoning Shui. The last person looked familiar. He must be the Heavenly Law Alliance Master. His aura was the strongest, giving Suyu a sense of danger. He was even more terrifying than Zhao Wuji and Qiaoning Shui. Zhao Wuji laughed in surprise. "Little girl, you can recognize us with just one look. It seems like the rumors that Lord EU is knowledgeable and has seen the world are true." Among the three of them, the Heavenly Law Alliance Master Long Juexin had the most indifferent expression. Qiaoning Shui looked at Xia Jingyu kindly, but her gaze mainly fell on Suyu. "This is not the place to talk. Both of you follow us. We have questions for you." Zhao Wuji's smile faded, his expression serious. The group of them entered the secret chamber. Zhao Wuji exchanged glances with Qiaoning Shui and Long Juexin, then said, "Let the Alliance Master ask the questions." Long Juexin's expression was serious, his gaze lingering on Suyu and Xia Jingyu. "I heard that you met with a change in the Dragon Abyss. This concerns the safety of the Jinlong continent. Tell me everything you know." Suyu nodded, telling them about his encounter with Xia Jingyu, his escape from the black-faced Azura, his encounter with Shenggu, and his escape. However, he did not mention the Cosmos Thundersword. Hearing that the Sky Ghost had broken out of the seal, the three of them looked very unsightly. This heavenly ghost invaded from the 9 states all those years ago, and it happened to be stuck in the crack when the crack closed. Our ancestors of the human clan spent a lot of effort to seal it in the Dragon Abyss. Now that it has escaped, I'm afraid it will bring disaster to the continent. Zhao Wuji frowned. Long Juexin thought for a moment before saying, "That might not be the case. This heavenly ghost has been severely injured by Elder Geo, so it won't be able to come out and do evil for the time being. So, it won't be too dangerous for the time being." Hearing this, the three of them still looked uneasy. Zhao Wuji nodded gravely. "If that's the case, then there's no need for us to return to the Dragon Abyss. We just need to spread this news to all the forces on the continent as soon as possible and be on guard." The three of them looked at each other and nodded in unison. "This matter is over. All of you can leave," Long Juexin said. Zhao Wuji, Qiaoning Shui, as well as Su Yu and the rest, stood up one after another. "Black Snow Devil King, stay," Long Juexin said expressionlessly. Su Yu's heart thumped. During their short conversation just now, Long Juexin seemed to treat him coldly. Zhao Wuji's eyes flashed, and he waved his hand. "All of you can leave." Qiaoning Shui's expression did not change, and she sat down again. Long Juexin creased his brows. "Both of you, I have some private matters to discuss with this Black Snow Devil King. Both of you should leave as well." "He, Alliance Master, we also have some private matters that we need to discuss with the Black Snow Devil King." Zhao Wuji laughed, not moving an inch. A bit of impatience appeared between his brows. Long Juexin looked at the two of them. "All right, it seems like we have the same thoughts." Long Juexin's expression turned grave. "Black Snow Devil King, you have massacred the North Continent, causing blood to flow like a river. Do you have anything to say?" He had mobilized a large number of people, and his attitude was overbearing. Leaving him behind was to punish him. Suyu was stunned, but he maintained his calm expression. "Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. What's wrong with killing someone who deserves to be killed?" His opponent's attitude caused Long Juexin's expression to turn cold. A formless aura pressed down like a giant mountain. Unrepentant, Suyu felt as if a giant mountain was pressing down on him. However, his body had been transformed by the bright earth milk and vital energy, and he was close to a half-god. Long Jueshin's aura could not do anything to Suyu. Casually putting down his teacup, Suyu calmly said, I admire the Heavenly Law Alliance for saving the world for the past 10,000 years. However, when did the Heavenly Law Alliance have the right to interfere in my personal grudges with a few factions? Over the past 10,000 years, the factions of the continent have fought against each other, and the number of deaths and injuries has reached more than 1 million. Why do I not see you punishing any of the factions, but you want to punish me? Could it be that it is not a crime for a faction to massacre people, but it is a crime for me to take revenge alone? Suyu's eyes flickered with a shrewd light as he looked at the three of them. He then said calmly, Seniors, if you have something to say, just say it. Taking me down a notch won't have much effect on me. The Heavenly Law Alliance had never interfered in the affairs of the human world. Why do they have to make things difficult for Suyu and ruin their own reputation? Using their power to suppress Su, you would only make Suyu look inferior to them. They had other motives. Zhao Wuji's eyes flashed with surprise. After exchanging glances with the other two, he had a praising expression. Not only is the Black Snow Devil King powerful, but he is also very intelligent. I have underestimated you. Long Jueshin grunted. I don't want to beat around the bush with you. Let's just say it out loud. Black Snow Devil King, the Heavenly Law Alliance, does not care about you massacring people. However, the few treasures that you stole from the Yu clan's wedding cannot be controlled by you. Short-distance wings, a fragment of a legendary level cultivation technique, and a high-grade divine artifact, the Death Horn. Also, the two clans' 10,000 soldier spiritual liquid does not belong to you. In order to prevent you from harming the continent and killing people, we will hand them over to the Heavenly Law Alliance for safekeeping. What they value the most was naturally the high-grade divine artifact, the Death Horn. The three of them looked at Suyu with similar expressions. Suyu's lips curled into a smile. It was a mocking smile. I worked so hard and risked my life to kill my enemies to obtain them. You want to take them all back just because the continent is in danger? Hee hee. Long Jueshin grunted. There is no need to mock us. We are doing this for the sake of the continent. We have a clear conscience. Furthermore, you should be satisfied that you have obtained the token of the Dragon Abyss of the 9 Underworlds. He touched his dantian. There was still a vital energy crystal there. It was enough to activate the Cosmos Thunder Sword once. So you laughed coldly. What a joke. When these treasures were in the hands of the 8 great ancient clans, why did you not confiscate them? Now that they are in my hands, you remember that these things will harm the continent? Such sanctimonious words might work on children who are inexperienced, but do not use them on me. The three of them froze. This person was definitely not a youth. Do the three of you have anything else? If not, I will take my leave. So you stood up coldly. Slap. Long Jueshin slammed the table and stood up. How dare you? I spoke kindly, but you were stubborn and forced me to use force. Chapter 429. Within the Cosmos Mirror, the Thunder Sword was spinning. With just a thought, it could kill the three of them. Such bold and presumptuous words really caused the three of them to be secretly shocked. The atmosphere became tense. Long Jueshin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Zhao Wuji waved his hand. Alliance Master, this matter? I think we should consider it carefully. If we really attack, wouldn't we be killing him and stealing his treasures? That would go against our original intentions. Xiao Ningshui, who had not spoken since the beginning, slowly stood up and sighed. Let's just forget about this matter. I didn't agree with such a method in the first place. Forcefully taking someone else's treasure, no matter how honorable the reason is still the act of bandits. Long Jueshin was slightly surprised. These two were actually protecting Suyu. Long Jueshin coldly grunted. Fine, let's forget about this matter for now. Black Snow Devil King, let me ask you one last thing. My son went missing while searching for you. Did you see him? Suyu's expression did not change. I encountered Azura and only cared about escaping. I did not see your son. Do you have any more questions? Long Jueshin's expression turned cold. Are you serious? With a light laugh, Suyu said, I have already said what I needed to say. Whether you believe me or not is up to you. Seeing that the two of them were about to fight again, Zhao Wuji hurriedly said, Alliance Master, Fei Yu, is very alert. He has not returned yet, so I'm afraid he is hiding somewhere in the Dragon Abyss, waiting for an opportunity. We have already arranged for people to stand guard on the Dragon Abyss Island. If there is news of Fei Yu, we will inform you. Alliance Master need not worry. Long Jueshin's expression relaxed. He looked at Suyu deeply, then left. Hee, Black Snow, Pavilion Master Chiu, and I can only help you so much. After he left, Zhao Wuji smiled at Suyu. How could Suyu not know that they were protecting him? If they had not been present, Long Jueshin would most likely have killed him. Thank you, elders. I am grateful. Suyu cupped his hands and thanked them. Zhao Wuji waved his hands and laughed. There is no need. We did not agree with Alliance Master Long's decision. Helping you was a simple matter. Moreover, we're the ones who should be thanking you. Suyu was confused. Perhaps you still don't know, but I was once from the 100 Territories Alliance, and Pavilion Master Chiu was from the Phoenix Cabinet, right? The Northern Continent is undergoing a drastic change, and due to our neutral status, it is inconvenient for us to take action. You destroying the Northern Continent Alliance can be considered as teaching them a lesson for the two of us. For you to be able to kill so many experts with your own strength, you're really not simple. Among those of the same generation in the Northern Continent, you're definitely the number one. So you suddenly recalled that the Phoenix Cabinet's master had once mentioned that the Northern Continent had several experts in the Heavenly Law Alliance. Senior, you praise me too much. I was just rash for a moment, and I was lucky enough to escape from a great calamity. I even managed to get my revenge, Suyu replied modestly. Xiaoningshui looked at Suyu, calmly saying, No need to be humble. You deserve the title of number one in the North Continent. Slowly standing up, Xiaoningshui took out a bottle of white elixirs from her sleeves. I have heard of your help to Siener in the Dragon Abyss. Take this bottle of elixirs. Consider it my compensation to you on behalf of Siener. Zhao Wuji looked at the elixirs in surprise, then clicked his tongue. Phoenix Master Chiu seems to think highly of you. This is an elixir that can recover spirit energy, the Frost Moon Dew pill. A bunch of old men like us can't get it even if we beg for it. Kid, you're really lucky. An elixir that could recover spirit energy was rare, so you accepted it gratefully. Being able to recover spirit energy at any time during a fight would put him in an invincible position. Nodding her head, Xiaoningshui said, If you have nothing else to do, rest in the Heavenly Law Alliance for a few days. This place is vast, and the spirit energy is denser than the outside world. It is the most suitable place for training. Suyu creased his brows. Thank you for your kindness, but I have matters to attend to nearby, and it would be inconvenient for me to go too far. Furthermore, Alliance Master Long is biased against me. I'm afraid I won't be able to stay for long. Thinking for a moment, the two of them did not urge him to stay. If that's the case, take care of yourself in the future. After saying this, they stood up to leave. Elder Chiu, please wait. I still have something to ask of you. Suyu's gaze flickered as he called out to her. Zhao Wuji was stunned, but he naturally left. What is it? Xiaoningshui turned back to look at him. Suyu took out the death bugle and handed it over along with 5 drops of 10,000 soldier spiritual liquid. This is... Xiaoningshui's expression changed, her gaze flickering. She did not understand Suyu's actions. This is for Qin Siener, Suyu said calmly. There is nothing in this world more suitable for the death bugle than the Phoenix of Death Constitution. I hope Elder can pass it to Siener. Xiaoningshui looked at Suyu, her gaze complicated. Can you tell me who you are? This person's love for Qin Siener was far more than that. Even half-gods would fight over a high-grade divine artifact. Yet he had given it to Qin Siener so easily. Suyu smiled. Who I am is not important. What's important is that you pass it to Siener when it's appropriate. Aren't you afraid that I will take it for myself? Xiaoningshui did not take it. If Elder cared so much about the death bugle, you would not have stopped Long Jueshin. Suyu placed the 2 items on the table, cupping his fists. I'll be counting on you, Elder. After saying this, he turned to leave. Wait. Xiaoningshui hesitated for a moment. She looked at the death bugle and sighed. Fine, I will accept this favor on behalf of Sienner. Don't you want to make the dragon abyss elixir? I know a thing or two about elixir making. If you trust me, pass the dragon abyss fruit to me. Come here in half a month to retrieve the elixir. Hearing this, Suyu was overjoyed. Even Zhao Wuji coveted this woman's elixir. It could be seen that her elixir-making skills were not just a thing or two. Without much thought, Suyu passed the dragon abyss fruit to her. Also, let me see your eyes. Xiaoning Shui walked over, extending 2 fingers and tapping on Suyu's eyebrows. A bolt of cool energy entered Suyu's eyes. His eyes, which had been blind for a long time, could see a ray of light in the darkness. But very quickly, the light disappeared. Xiaoning Shui had a grave expression. How could your injuries be so severe? Furthermore, it seems to contain a gust of heavenly might. I have never heard of it before. After muttering to herself for a moment, Xiaoning Shui lowered her head without a word. She wrote down a piece of paper. On it, there were a few strange elixir ingredients. Blindness caused by heavenly might has already exceeded the scope of normal blindness. Normal elixirs are of no use. Regarding this, there is nothing I can do. Hearing this, Suyu was slightly disappointed, but he did not hold out much hope. Shenggu, who was at the fairy realm, had not treated him, much less Xiaoning Shui. But Xiaoning Shui's tone suddenly changed. But I once read about a divine eye called the evil, destroying silver eyes in an ancient book. It is rumored that this eye can resist the might of heaven and earth. If you can cultivate this divine eye, I believe that with its ability to resist the might of heaven and earth, you should be able to get rid of the remnant heavenly might in your eyes and regain your sight. Suyu asked curiously, evil destroying silver eyes? How do I cultivate this eye? Xiaoning Shui said in a low voice, the cultivation of this eye is not difficult. As long as you have a certain foundation in eye techniques, and your eyes can withstand the evil-destroying silver eyes, I have a way to refine your eyes into the evil-destroying silver eyes. The truly difficult part is the ingredients. Chapter 430. The 3 main ingredients are all extremely difficult to find. Apart from the undead herb of the netherworld, I can provide you with some information. As for the remaining ingredients, the lightning avoiding silver pearl and the blood of a real dragon, I do not know anything. Just from the names of the 3 ingredients, one could tell that they were important items. It would not be an easy task to collect all of them. However, if Suyu reactivated his eyes, the heavenly eyes would be able to unleash the power of the sealed space-time energy. With the power of the heavenly eyes, even the fairy realm would find it difficult to withstand. Now that he was targeted by the heavenly ghost, if he did not find a way to save his life in time, he would be doomed. Thank you for your guidance. Please tell me about the undead herb of the netherworld. I will try my best to collect it. When the time comes, please help me. Xiaoning Shui nodded. Of course. If you can really find the 3 ingredients, I will do my best to help you regain your sight. You can go to the Azure Water Island to find out more about the undead herb of the netherworld. This island is the most prosperous market on the ocean, and it is also one of the important bases for the Heavenly Law Alliance to replenish resources. There are often all sorts of treasures that cannot be exposed on this island. A few days ago, when I went to purchase ingredients, I accidentally heard about the undead herb of the netherworld. Unfortunately, I left in a hurry and did not investigate in detail. If you go to this island, you might be able to find the undead herb of the netherworld. Azure Water Island? Suyu nodded. After thanking her, he left the battleship and disappeared into the vast ocean. Phoenix Master Chio, the evil-destroying silver eyes, is the world's #1 divine eye that even the Void World Master failed in his attempt. If you tell Suyu about it, wouldn't it be a waste of his effort? According to what I know, the lightning avoiding silver pearl and the real dragon's blood are not things that can be found in the Jinlong continent. Especially the real dragon's blood. Even in the Jiuzhou, it is an extremely rare item. Zhao Wuji, who had already walked far away, appeared silently. Xiaoning Shui sighed. How could I not know? However, having hope is better than having no hope at all. Hee hee. It seems like the death horn is not easy to obtain. Zhao Wuji laughed. Xiaoning Shui frowned. This item is for Xiener. I hope that you can keep it a secret from the Alliance Master. Zhao Wuji lightly snorted. If I tell that old man Long Jueshin, I'm afraid that if I don't tell him, he will try his best to get his hands on this treasure and leave it for his children. Speaking of which, the Heavenly Law Alliance claims that it protects all of the continent's outstanding talents and treats all of them equally. But, in fact, it's just grooming the younger generation of the factions that are on good terms with the Dragon Clan. It's really unfair. Xiaoning Shui was also dissatisfied and said helplessly, "The Long family is after all the guardian family of the warship. There is nothing we can do. Moreover, the Dragon Clan is becoming more and more prosperous, especially Long Jueshin's two daughters. They are both dragons and phoenixes among men." Regarding this matter, Zhao Wuji also sighed helplessly. Long Feiyu is fine. Although his aptitude is not bad, from what I can see, he is fickle and impetuous. Reaching the half-god realm is his limit. However, his daughter, Long Wuxin, is practicing the emotionless doctrine. Her aptitude is shocking, and I think that the chances of her breaking through to the fairy realm are not low. Especially when the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion has descended. If she is able to obtain even a little bit of opportunity, the chances of her breaking through to the fairy realm will be even higher. She could very well be the fourth fairy realm expert in the history of our Jinlong continent. Xiaoning Shui's expression was grave. This woman is indeed frightening. It is only a matter of time before she surpasses us. She has been traveling outside for the past 3 years, and it looks like she will be back soon. Following Xiaoning Shui's instructions, Suyu arrived at the famous market island, Kanglin Island. The market on the island was extremely large, and it spanned almost the entire island. After asking around, Suyu arrived at the Golden Light Pavilion, where Xiaoning Shui had heard news of the undead herb of the Netherworld. This was one of the 2 biggest treasure pavilions in the market, and the business was extremely prosperous. "Mister, what are you looking for?" Just as he entered, a beautiful and quick-witted young lady walked up with a smile. The young lady silently sized up Suyu. She was in awe of him, but also secretly had a thread of hope. Suyu pondered. "I have some things that I want to sell to your treasure pavilion." "Sell things?" The young lady was disappointed, but she did not lose her manners. The Golden Light Pavilion occasionally accepts some treasures, but only rare and precious items are accepted. "Mister, what do you want to sell?" In other words, if it was an ordinary item, there was no need to take it out. So you thought for a moment, then casually took out a black crystal. This item was dropped when he killed a Rakshasa, and it contained a thick demonic dragon's breath. It was very effective for ghost cultivators, and it also contained a thread of extremely pure soul energy. If it could be refined into an elixir, it would have some effect on increasing soul energy. With Suyu's current soul energy, the increase in soul energy was not obvious. Hence, it was not of much use. The young lady was stunned. She looked at it carefully a few times, but could not understand what it was. She could not help but frown. "What is this?" Suyu raised his eyebrows. "Let someone who can speak come." The young lady was unhappy, but after hesitating for a moment, she turned and entered the back hall. She had stayed in the Golden Light Pavilion for a long time, and her standards were not high. Compared to normal martial artists, she was naturally much higher. However, this was the first time she had seen this item. Not long after, under her lead, a scholar in a long robe stepped forward, smiling warmly. "Mister, do you have something to sell to our pavilion?" Although the other party was polite, it was only out of courtesy. There was a hint of impatience on his face, as if he had been disturbed. If not for Suyu's aura of Realm Level 4 peak, he might not have been so polite. Whoosh, Suyu casually threw it over. The other party caught it subconsciously, opened it, and looked at it. At first, he was stunned, then his smile gradually froze. Finally, there was a trace of seriousness between his eyebrows. When he looked at it carefully, his eyes flashed with surprise. "Mister, please follow me to the back hall." The middle-aged scholar looked around vigilantly. When he looked at Suyu again, he was much more enthusiastic and extended his hand to make an inviting gesture. Suyu nodded. not bothering to be courteous, and walked in openly. The middle-aged scholar turned to the young lady and ordered, "Go to the warehouse immediately and get a grade of fragrant spirit tea. Go quickly." The young lady was stunned. When she came back to her senses, her expression changed greatly, and she ran toward the warehouse hurriedly. First grade fragrant spirit tea. This was the highest standard of hospitality. Only those heaven masters of the great forces would be able to receive such treatment. Just what kind of treasure did that bronze youth take out to cause shopkeeper Chi to be so solemn? In the back hall, "I am Chi Ming, the shopkeeper of the Golden Light Pavilion. May I know your name?" In the back hall, the middle-aged scholar spoke warmly. Suyu's tone was indifferent. "Black Snow, are you interested in this item?" Chi Ming was not surprised by the other party's indifference. He smiled and said, "The black crystal is a crystal formed in the body of a Rakshasa. It's a very good treasure for a ghost Tao cultivator. If you're willing to sell it, the Golden Light Pavilion will definitely satisfy you." This is not the first time the Golden Light Pavilion has bought this item. According to the previous price, you can exchange it for 2 complete immortal level techniques. If you're willing to sell it, I can make the decision and add on a low-grade divine artifact. 2 complete immortal level techniques and a low-grade divine artifact? That was fair. Haha. Thank you for your kind intentions, but your pavilion might not have what I want. Suyu's eyes flashed. Chi Ming's eyes narrowed slightly, and he smiled without batting an eyelid. "What do you want? Our pavilion has some things that cannot see the light of the continent. Perhaps we have something that you need?" Suyu took a sip of tea and leisurely said, "What I am looking for is the undead herb of the netherworld. If you can provide information on the whereabouts of the herb, this item will be given to your pavilion. If you have a complete stock, this item will be a fraction of the price. I have something else to exchange." Chapter 431. Compared to the undead herb of the netherworld, a black crystal was not considered precious. Chi Ming's body trembled slightly. A look of shock flashed across his face. "You must be joking," Chi Ming said. "The undead herb of the netherworld is a precious item. Even strong martial artists of the fairy realm would be interested in it. How could a small store like ours have such an item?" So he was slightly disappointed. It seemed that the news of the undead herb of the netherworld that Phoenix Master Chio had heard might not have come from the Golden Light Pavilion. Instead, some fighters had been discussing it within the pavilion. So you could not help but feel disappointed that he had come here for nothing. But he managed to rein in his emotions. "I was rude and presumptuous. Since your pavilion does not have such an item, I will not disturb you any further. Farewell." Suyu cupped his fists in farewell, then turned to leave. Chi Ming politely stood up to send Suyu off. But suddenly, his ears twitched, and his expression changed. He hurriedly chased after Suyu. "Sir, please wait." "Shopkeeper Chi, is there anything else?" Suyu asked. Chi Ming looked hesitant. "Sir, please forgive me for being cautious, but I am certain that you're not here to gather information. Truth be told, our pavilion does not have the undead herb of the netherworld, but we do have a piece of information regarding its whereabouts." "What?" Suyu turned, his gaze flashing. "Shopkeeper Chi, if you feel that 1 black crystal is not enough to exchange for this piece of information, I have other items to exchange for it." Shopkeeper Chi waved his hands. "You must be joking. How could I not know the value of a black crystal? This piece of information is definitely worth it. But truth be told, our pavilion has been secretly searching for a group of trustworthy fighters to head to the location of the clue to obtain the undead herb of the netherworld. According to the clues, the undead herb of the netherworld grows in an extremely dangerous area. We need as many fighters as possible to obtain it successfully." So you squinted. "You mean that you wish for me to go with you?" Chi Ming smiled. "Sir, you're a smart person. We do not wish to reveal the value of the undead herb of the netherworld to outsiders. Unless you work together with us, we will not sell it." After hearing what was said, Suyu laughed at himself. "You think too highly of me. I am merely an immortal realm level 4 junior. Even if I were to go, I would only cause trouble." However, Chi Ming laughed out loud. "Young master, you don't have to be so humble. From what I know, the abilities of the Rakshasa are almost equivalent to those of a Heaven Master. The fact that you were able to kill them shows that your abilities are extraordinary. In reality, the Rakshasa that Suyu had killed, in terms of battle prowess, had even caused Qing Zhu and Long Feiyu to feel somewhat restrained. They were not much weaker than human kings. That was just a fluke. However, if shopkeeper Qi really trusts me, it's not impossible for me to go there. Qi Ming was overjoyed. Haha, with young Master Black Snow's help, our chances of success have increased by 30%. Should we set off now? Suyu asked expectantly. Qi Ming muttered to himself, Sir, please do not be impatient. The undead herb of the netherworld is extremely dangerous. Every waning moon, the deathly energy is at its thickest. Even Heaven Masters would be corroded by the deathly energy if they approached it, causing their cultivation level to be damaged. In serious cases, they would die on the spot. Hence, we need to wait for the night of the full moon, when the deathly energy of the undead herb of the netherworld is at its weakest. Furthermore, it is too risky for only you and me to make this trip. Before you come, our pavilion has already invited many strong fighters to gather at our pavilion in 10 days' time. We will then head to the location of the undead herb of the netherworld together. 10 days later, Suyu rubbed his chin, nodding his head in agreement. If that is the case, I will definitely meet you in half a month's time. After his speech, he confirmed the details with Qi Ming, then left the Golden Light Pavilion. He found a place in the market with a thicker spirit energy to cultivate in peace. In half a month's time, he had many matters that he needed to settle. After Suyu left, Qi Ming's warm smile turned serious. He turned around and bowed respectfully. Master, the undead herb of the netherworld is of great importance to our clan. Why did you invite this person? If I'm not wrong, this person should be the Black Snow Devil King, who has been in the limelight recently. It is rumored that he has killed more than 1 or 2 Heaven Masters. Now that this black crystal has been delivered, the rumors are even more true. He must have returned from the dragon abyss alive. This person is a bit of a threat. Would inviting him rudely spoil our plans? On the wall of the back hall, a landscape painting hung on the wall. The figure with his hands clasped behind his back had come to life. He slowly turned around, his voice drifting. This person has a lightning-based aura, which is extremely useful in breaking the final seal. This person might be able to play an unexpected role in obtaining the mysterious heavenly map. Even though he is somewhat powerful, he is not a threat. After the matter is over, do not leave this person alive. Qi Ming understood. I understand. Suyu entered seclusion. First, he took down the dragon soul coffin from his back. According to Yun Yazi, only vital energy from outside the Jinlong continent could help Ling Xiaotian recover. With a thought, a blood-red color appeared on the surface of Suyu's body. It was the bloodline of the evil ghost. A ghostly face greedily held a green ball the size of an eyeball in its mouth. It was filled with dense, vital energy. This was the ball of vital energy that Suyu had secretly kept after Shanggu had lent her cultivation base to Suyu. This was the reason why Shanggu had felt that her vital energy had been greatly depleted. In order to avoid Shang Ji's suspicions, Suyu did not keep too much of it, only a small ball. This ball of vital energy might not be enough to save Ling Xiaotian, but would be useful to test the effects of the vital energy on Ling Xiaotian's recovery. With a thought, he sent a small ball of vital energy into the dragon soul coffin. After it was absorbed, it turned into white energy, slowly enveloping Ling Xiaotian's body. His body quickly regained its color and color. His shriveled body continued to fill out, and his white hair turned from white to black. His weak life force continued to strengthen. The entire process was as if he had been brought back to life. An hour later, the white energy disappeared. However, Ling Xiaotian's body stabilized and did not shrivel up like before. This caused Suyu to be overjoyed. According to his original predictions, Ling Xiaotian would not live past a month. But now, it seemed that he could live for at least half a year. Vital energy was indeed the only way to save Ling Xiaotian. The only pity was that although his body had recovered, his consciousness was not clear. But to be able to reach such a level had already exceeded Su Yu's expectations. He was exceptionally satisfied, feeling much more relaxed. Su Yu put away the dragon soul coffin and started to inspect the condition of his body. Looking closely, he could not help but break out in cold sweat. There was still a huge hidden danger in his body. Previously, when he had been struck by the lightning of the Cosmos Thunder Sword, the greenish-white lightning had entered his body and wreaked havoc. In the critical moment, Su Yu had blocked it with his purple lightning. Chapter 432. The green and white lightning that had been blocked had dispersed to various parts of Su Yu's body. They were destroying the life force in Su Yu's body at a speed that was difficult to detect. It looked like Su Yu's life force would be completely destroyed in less than 5 days. It would be too late for him to detect it then. Thinking of this, Su Yu was secretly shocked. Without hesitation, Su Yu began to expel them. Apart from the position of the purple thunder, Su Yu revolved his spiritual energy. Using 2 methods at the same time, he first gathered the scattered green and white thunderbolts. But what made Su Yu's expression sink was that the lightning came from the Cosmos Thunder Sword and was extremely stubborn. Su Yu could not suppress it in a short amount of time. A full day passed, and only 10% of the lightning was gathered near his dantian. Most of the lightning was still wreaking havoc in his body, and many of his internal organs had already suffered destructive damage. The pain continued throughout the entire process, making it difficult for him to endure. Luckily, his body had been modified by Shungu, and the lightning had fused with his flesh and blood, giving him a stronger resistance. Thus, he was still able to stabilize himself. The battle continued for 6 days before Su Yu heaved a sigh of relief and opened his eyes. The green and white lightning that had been swimming around his body was now gathered near his dantian, forming a green and white ball of lightning the size of a thumb. But Su Yu needed to use a large portion of his spirit energy and all of the purple lightning to suppress it. Otherwise, once it was released, it would once again attack Su Yu's body. At this moment, Su Yu's face was pale, and his body was exhausted. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like he was about to faint. This is a huge hidden danger. If I do not think of a way to get rid of this ball of lightning, I'm afraid I will lose my life before I can break through to the fairy realm. Su Yu let out a bitter laugh, but his eyes were serious. This ball of lightning was already a huge threat to Su Yu, but now that it was under control, there would not be any trouble in the short term. This allowed Su Yu to heave a sigh of relief. After adjusting his breathing and returning to his peak condition, Su Yu took out the silver bow. This bow was a middle-grade divine artifact, but its power was extraordinary. But it was gradually unable to keep up with the dangers he had encountered. The only way was to further refine it. Previously, he had refined 20% of it, but there was still 80% he could not refine. Thinking about it, Su Yu took out the last 5 drops of 10,000 soldiers' spiritual liquid to cleanse the bow. With a thought, Su Yu sacrificed 5 drops of his own blood, fused them with the 10,000 soldiers' spiritual liquid, and started to cleanse the silver bow. The silver bow trembled more violently than ever before. The silver radiance was extremely dazzling. Su Yu was shocked and hurriedly revolved his spiritual energy to envelop the secret room so that it would not attract the attention of others. Wouldn't it be too much to refine them all at once? Su Yu lightly licked his lips. He was slightly excited, as he could feel that the bow, after being refined, would release an unprecedented power. At the very least, it could unleash 70% of its power. A top-notch mid-grade divine artifact with 70% of its power. Just the thought of it was tempting. This process was abnormally slow. After a full 4 days, a loud and clear dragon roar came from within the silver bow. Only then was the refinement complete. A total of 6 drops of essence blood rose from the silver bow, 1 more than the 5 drops he had expected. As such, Su Yu managed to refine 60% of it in one go. Thinking about it carefully, it was probably because Su Yu's physical body was not what it used to be, and the energy contained in his blood essence was also far greater than before. Therefore, he had refined more of it. Previously, he had refined 20%. Now he had refined 80%. Even if the original owner of the silver bow was here, he would not be able to control it better than Suyu. Moreover, after refining 80% of it, Suyu could faintly feel that there was a terrifying aura hidden within the bow. Could it be, as Yun Yazi had said, that there was a terrifying arrow sealed within the silver bow? Suyu pondered. Unless he completely refined it, the bow would always be in a sealed state. This made Suyu even more curious. What kind of divine arrow could make Yun Yazi sigh in admiration? Counting the days, the 10-day deadline had arrived. Suyu kept the items in the secret room. With a shake of his sleeves, his figure became blurry and he disappeared. Shopkeeper Chi, I am very sorry for being late. Suyu entered the Golden Light Pavilion. A young lady had already invited him to the back of the pavilion. Haha, you're not late. There's still 2 hours to the agreed time. We're the ones who came early. Chi Ming laughed. Suyu swept his gaze across the room and noticed 2 other people sitting leisurely in the room. One was a young lady in a red robe. She wore a fiery red pleated skirt that accentuated her slender figure and beautiful face. At that moment, the red-robed young lady's crystal-like eyes examined Suyu. After a moment, she looked away disinterestedly. The other person was a young man in black armor. He was about 24 or 25 years old. He had a hooked nose and deep eye sockets. The armor on his body was carved with a ferocious dragon head. There were also a few barbs on his shoulder armor, making him look extremely ferocious. What made Suyu slightly serious was that the abilities of these 2 people were quite impressive. They were both strong martial artists of the Heaven Master level. Moreover, their auras were not simple Heaven Masters. They were comparable to the Rakshasa from the Dragon Abyss of the 9 underworlds. Shopkeeper Chi, the armored young man, coldly grunted. The expert who made us wait for so many days is this inexperienced brat. Chi Ming smiled warmly. I forgot to introduce you. Mr. Black Snow, these 2 are Miss Exine Wuhan and Mr. Zhongbing. They will be traveling with us. Black Snow? The red-robed young lady, Exine Wuhan, who was not interested in Suyu, could not help but be surprised. She looked at Suyu again, a hint of doubt in her eyes. The armored young man also had a thoughtful expression. He creased his brows. You are the Black Snow Devil King? Black Snow. Such a strange name had never appeared before. It had only spread throughout the continent a month ago. Moreover, it was rumored that he was an immortal realm level 4 peak, similar to the cultivation level of the person in front of him. Looking at his attire, the dragon soul coffin, bronze, and blood-red hair. Who else could it be but the Black Snow Devil King? Suyu's expression did not change as he replied, Why? Do I need to explain my background in order to find the undead herb of the Netherworld? Chi Ming pretended to be surprised. So it is the famous Black Snow Devil King. I was blind and did not recognize you. My apologies. Suyu smiled. He had not intentionally changed his identity. Chi Ming was in charge of the Golden Light Pavilion. Suyu would not believe that he did not have the ability to recognize him. Suyu did not expose him. Can we set off now? He asked. Chi Ming smiled as he looked at Exine Wuhan and Zhongbing. Do the 2 of you have any objections? Exine Wuhan's expression was calm. Let's set off now. Zhongbing looked deeply at Suyu. Humph. Killing a few Heaven Masters is nothing. If I wanted to kill you, it would be as easy as you killing them. Anytime, Suyu said casually, giving him tit for tat. Chi Ming laughed. Since that is the case, let's set off. I hope that once we reach that perilous land, we can all work together. After saying this, he summoned a flying divine artifact. The group boarded the boat and left. The painting on the wall at the back of the hall started to burn, turning into a ball of ash that drifted away. Chapter 433. A few days later, 1,000,000 miles away from the Blue Waves Island, deep under the sea, there was a bottomless trench. Countless caves were carved into the stone walls of the trench. The place was dark, having not seen sunlight for 10,000 years. Coupled with the fact that it was deep under the sea, it was cold all year round, causing the place to be extremely cold. The densely packed dark holes in the stone walls were like giant mouths that were ready to swallow anyone who passed by at any time. Suyu stood above the trench, revolving his spirit energy to protect his body. He secretly used his soul eyes to investigate the caves. Strangely, the cold energy was so thick that even his soul eyes could not see through it. He could only faintly see that there was a thin layer of water membrane outside each cave. The larger the cave, the more water membrane rippled. The lowest water membrane ripples only had one layer of water membrane ripples. The largest one, which was the huge cave in the center, had nearly 4 layers of water membrane ripples. The ripples of the water membrane bounced off Su Yu's soul energy forcefully. Restriction. Su Yu calmly retracted his soul eyes. Qi Ming put away the divine flying ship, speaking frankly. Does anyone know where this place used to be? Su Yu and Zheng Bing did not speak. They stared at the strange, densely packed caves, not saying a word. Xian Wuhan creased her brows, uncertain. Could this be the birthplace of the Ghost Clan, one of the 8 great ancient clans, the 10,000 Ghost Cave? Qi Ming had a look of admiration. Miss Xian is knowledgeable. I am impressed. This place is indeed the furthest birthplace of the Ghost Clan. It is rumored that the Ghost Clan lived here in the past. After a great change, they migrated to the southern continent, and this place was abandoned. The gazes of the group fell on Su Yu. The Black Snow Devil King had the bloodline of the Ghost Clan. This was something that everyone on the continent knew. Qi Ming continued. The undead herb of the Netherworld is the treasure of the Ghost Clan. Only the Ghost Clan's evil ghost energy, nourished for many years, can it be successfully nurtured. Even though this place has been abandoned, according to our investigation, no one has discovered this place over the years. We are certain that there are remnants of the evil ghost energy within the ruins. They have grown stronger over the years and might have already nurtured 1 or 2 undead herbs of the Netherworld. The only way to obtain this herb is to enter deep within. The few of them looked at each other. After thinking for a long time, they nodded in agreement. If this place hadn't been opened since ancient times, then the possibility of the undead herb of the Netherworld being here was extremely low. Qi Ming stared at the cave in the middle, his eyes filled with anticipation. Everyone, since we have been reading ancient texts, the cave in the center leads to the sacrificial altar of the ghost race. That is the place where the ghost race offers sacrifices to the heavens. It is filled with dense ghost qi all year round, and the undead herb of the Netherworld is most likely there. Zheng Bing rolled his eyes. I'll say the ugly words first. Before we reach the altar, none of us are allowed to attack each other. Only when we find the undead herb of the Netherworld can we then rely on our own abilities. If anyone breaks the rules and attacks first, the other 3 will surround and kill him. The 4 of them exchanged glances and agreed. Before they found their target, it was too early to kill each other. Since everyone agrees, then it's easy to discuss. Qi Ming chuckled. Soon after, his expression turned serious. The cave we are going to enter has 4 layers of restrictions. They are extremely powerful. If one enters carelessly and activates the restrictions, they will only end up dead. Looking at the restrictions, the corners of Qi Ming's mouth twitched. I won't hide it from everyone. Actually, during our previous investigations, a heaven master that we hired from the Golden Light Pavilion was careless and triggered the restrictions. His blood was sucked dry, and he died. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. To be able to kill a heaven master so easily, this restriction was very dangerous. There are 4 layers of restrictions in total, and the power of each layer is roughly similar. To be fair, the 4 of us will each break 1 restriction, Qi Ming said. Based on my calculations, the closer we are to the outside restrictions, the more dangerous it is. Hence, the arrangements are as follows. I will be the first to break the restriction, Xian Wuhan will be the second, and Zheng Bing will be the third. As for the last one, in theory, the Black Snow Devil King will break it. However, when the time comes, I hope that everyone will lend a helping hand. Help him break the restriction together. They were satisfied with this arrangement. Apart from Zheng Bing, who was slightly dissatisfied with being behind Xian Wuhan, the rest of them had no objections. In order to reassure them, as the initiator, Qi Ming was naturally the first to try the situation they had been hoping for. After the discussion, Qi Ming flew to the front of the giant cave. The aura of a heaven master was faintly discernible. Su Yu was shocked. Qi Ming had hidden his aura very well. Even though his aura was not as strong as the other two, he was not weak either. Qi Ming first took out a dark blue charm from his sleeves, crazily imbuing spirit energy into it. Xian Wuhan exclaimed, "The broken god charm contains an attack close to that of a human king. Its power is extremely strong and cannot be underestimated. It is a life-saving charm that is priceless." To think that shopkeeper Qi would take out two of them at once. Su Yu was secretly shocked. What a large sum of money. 2 talismans, one of which was worth more than a black crystal. 30% of shopkeeper Qi's spirit energy was absorbed into the charm. At once, the entire charm released a hazy blue glow. A frightening spiritual pressure spread out in layers. Su Yu and the rest of them involuntarily took a few steps back, avoiding the suppression of the spiritual pressure. After the rune was completely suppressed, shopkeeper Qi's eyes flashed, and he quickly retreated while throwing the God Breaker rune in his hand. A blinding blue light exploded. A frightening power that was close to that of a human king suddenly spread out. After the blue charm was broken, the blue light that exploded out gathered once again, becoming a long and thin blue sword. It sliced toward the outermost layer of the water membrane. The ripple was attacked, shaking violently and flashing wildly. It looked as if it would shatter at the next moment. But as the blue sword disappeared, the water membrane gradually stabilized. Only a few cracks were left, which were slowly healing. An attack from a human king had not been able to destroy a single seal. The expressions of everyone, including Su Yu, turned grave. The strength of the seal here was beyond what they had expected. Qi Ming was also a little surprised. He creased his brows and flew down once again. With a grunt, he activated an immortal-level technique, cultivating it to stage 2 top class. Under the impact, the power of the universe descended. A 5-zhong large green footprint, glowing with a hazy green light, stomped down. With a deafening sound, the first layer of the water membrane shattered with a bang. Qi Ming took a deep breath, his face slightly pale. Using the broken god charm had expended so much effort. It was no wonder that no one had set foot here in the past 10,000 years. "Miss Xian, please," Qi Ming said with a smile. His gaze was dark as he observed Xian Wuhan breaking the seal. Xian Wuhan stepped forward expressionlessly. Her red dress fluttered gently in the water. Coupled with her cold expression, she looked cold. She formed seals with her 10 fingers. She was as fast as a blur, and the shadow of a giant tiger formed behind her. Zheng Bing had a fearful expression. Soul summoning technique? How could it be? This is a mysterious technique that only existed 10,000 years ago. It has long been lost. Where did this Xian Wuhan come from? Chapter 434. With a low roar, the 100 zhang tall giant tiger figure charged toward the second layer of the seal. The ripples on the water membrane began to shake, but it was far from breaking. But Xian Wuhan continued to weave signs. Numerous giant tiger figures appeared behind her, roaring as they charged toward the seal. This happened 5 times in a row, and after withstanding the impact of 9 black tiger shadows, the second layer of the restrictive spell finally broke with a cracking sound. Xian Wuhan returned expressionlessly, taking in a deep breath. It looked like she had expended quite a bit of spirit energy. Next was Zheng Bing. What caused Su Yu to be slightly stunned was that his opponent was also an ice-based strong martial artist. The moment he attacked, the entire seal shook violently, not any weaker than Xian Wuhan's. Qi Ming's expression turned serious. "Mr. Zheng, you have great techniques. It looks like your ice-based techniques have been cultivated to the extreme, and you have formed the origin energy, right?" Zheng Bing turned a deaf ear to Qi Ming. He focused on gathering cold energy in his palm, attacking the seal continuously. After half a cup of tea's time, the third layer of the seal was broken. Zheng Bing had expended a lot of energy as well. Just 3 layers of the seal had caused the 3 seniors present to expend quite a bit of effort. Qi Ming had a delighted expression. I'm afraid that Mr. Black Snow will have a hard time dealing with the last layer alone. Let the 3 of us do it together. That way, we should be able to break the seal as quickly as possible. Xian Wuhan had no objections. After recovering, she stepped forward. But Zheng Bing was a little unwilling. Humph! In the end, don't I still have to do it? But Su Yu, who was at the front, shook his head. There's no need. I think I can do it alone. Su Yu looked at the last layer of the seal, his eyes filled with shock. Using his soul eyes, he realized that there seemed to be a broken piece of black armor floating on the other side of the seal. From what he could sense, the item was emitting a powerful spiritual pressure, no weaker than the mountain river dragon bow. This item was definitely a supreme treasure. Qi Ming froze, but he did not stop Zheng Bing. He laughed. That's fine. We'll let Mr. Black Snow try first. If it doesn't work, we can strike then. Zheng Bing was happy to see this. He pursed his lips and stood at the same place with his hands behind his back, not moving forward. On the other hand, Xian Wuhan said thoughtfully, Young Master Black Snow, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to break it with your strength. Why don't I lend you a hand? After saying those words, he walked over in a flash. Not good. This woman must have discovered something strange. Feeling slightly anxious, Su Yu pondered for a moment. The mark of the ice divine herb in his dantian emitted a pale, cold glow. A whiff of extremely cold air descended abruptly, encircling Su Yu's fists. The expressions of Qi Ming, who was secretly observing Su Yu, and the cold and arrogant Zheng Bing changed at the same time. They shouted in shock, Ice origin! When the ice Tao was cultivated to the extreme, it was the origin. In the Jinlong continent, in terms of coldness, there was no one who could surpass the original source. Its power was unimaginable. Bang! The last layer of the restriction didn't even shake much before it was easily destroyed. A wave of water swept out, stirring up the dust that had settled for 10,000 years, causing the entrance of the cave to be covered in mist. Seizing the opportunity, Su Yu's chest glowed with a black light. The broken armor that was floating at the entrance of the cave was quickly kept into the cosmos mirror. Whiz, at that moment, Xian Wuhan's petite figure flew over. With a wave of her hand, she swept away all the dust in the water, revealing the clean entrance of the cave. Her eyes flashed with suspicion, and she sized Su Yu up with a profound gaze. However, she did not say anything. Qi Ming and Zheng Bing flew over with different emotions. The only thing they had in common was that their gazes towards Su Yu were filled with fear. In terms of the methods used to break the restriction, Su Yu, who looked the weakest, was actually an existence that was above the 3 of them. Mr. Black Snow, you live up to your reputation, Qi Ming said. You have actually managed to condense the energy of the origin and have cultivated the path of ice to its peak. I have a whole new level of respect for you. Qi Ming was full of praise. However, he intentionally maintained a distance of 50 feet from Su Yu. Su Yu said modestly, it was just luck. How could I compare to the 3 of you? The restriction has been broken. Let us enter quickly. Seeing that Su Yu was intentionally hiding the truth, they could not get to the bottom of it. They could only enter the cave together. Once they entered, they felt a ghostly aura, and the chill was bone-piercing. The cave was not deep. After a few hundred zhang of winding paths, they arrived at an extremely spacious palace. The palace was 10,000 zhang long and wide. The stone walls were adorned with many emerald green night pearls, illuminating the entire palace with a ghastly green light. It looked even more ghostly. In the center of the palace, there was a 10,000 zhang tall sacrificial altar. Surrounding the sacrificial altar, there were hundreds of stone pillars carved with unfamiliar symbols. Each stone pillar was connected by a black metal chain. The closer they got to the sacrificial altar, the thicker the ghostly energy became. This was especially the case when they reached the center of the sacrificial altar. The ghostly energy was so thick that it had a faintly discernible pitch-black color. Layers of black, ghostly energy floated back and forth. Beneath the black, ghostly energy, there was a small patch of dark green, 3-foot-long grass. There were about 7 or 8 of them, the undead herb of the netherworld. There are actually so many of them. Everyone present was shocked. 2 figures flew into the sky, grabbing at the undead herb of the netherworld. However, there were 2 figures that did not move. One of them was retreating without leaving a trace. Mr. Black Snow, the undead herb of the netherworld is right in front of you. Why are you not plucking it? If you are too late and it is taken by the 2 of them, the difficulty of retrieving the undead herb of the netherworld from their hands will be many times greater. Qiming looked at Su Yu in surprise, his tone a little strange. Not only did Su Yu not advance, but his expression was grave. His figure retreated quickly, fleeing toward the entrance of the palace. Zheng Bing and Xian Wuhan, who were flying toward the sacrificial altar, felt Su Yu and Qiming's strange actions. Their hearts skipped a beat. Their expressions changed. The 2 of them forcefully twisted their bodies in midair, retreating instead of advancing, even though they were only tens of zhang away from the top of the sacrificial altar. Suddenly, an ear-piercing shriek of a ghost could be heard from within the sacrificial altar. The sound was extremely sinister. Su Yu, who was about to reach the entrance, suddenly felt the spirit energy in his body freeze, and he fell from the sky. Luckily, his physical body was strong, and his reaction was fast. He rolled forward and landed successfully, after which he escaped from the palace without looking back. Not good. Zheng Bing and Xian Wuhan's expressions changed, and they retreated in a hurry. At that moment, the black symbols carved on the 190 stone pillars on the sacrificial altar emitted a black liquid, causing the stone pillars to shine with a black light. 2 stone pillars suddenly shot into the sky, heading toward the 2 of them. Zheng Bing's expression changed drastically. His hands moved to form an extremely mysterious seal, and 3 ice clones appeared around him. The 3 clones stood in front of him, while his main body fled frantically. But the stone pillars swept past, and the 3 clones did not resist in the slightest. They were torn apart like pieces of paper. The main body of Zheng Bing, who was fleeing, was struck by the stone pillars. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his protective spirit energy was destroyed. At that moment, dozens of black tentacles as thick as fingers appeared from within the stone pillars, piercing into Zheng Bing's body. With a pathetic cry, Zheng Bing's body quickly withered, turning into a dried corpse. In an instant, a strong martial artist close to the level of human king had fallen. TSK, 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 delicious. It's been a long time since I've tasted this delicacy. A sneer came from the depths of the altar. Rumble, rumble. The sacrificial altar shook and split into pieces, revealing a giant black shadow within the sacrificial altar. It was 10,000 zhang tall. Its entire body emitted a frightening, murderous energy. Its outline was similar to that of a human, but its head was made up of 3 connected heads. 2 of the heads were shriveled, as if they had been petrified. Only the head in the middle was similar to the face of an Azura. It had a green face, fangs, and a threatening, ghostly aura. Chapter 435. The Ghost King rolled his eyes and looked at Xian Wuhan, who was flying backward. They were both heaven masters, but the movement techniques that this woman displayed were exceptionally shocking. Although her expression was grave, she was very calm. She took out a transparent cloak that looked like a cicada's wings from her sleeve and covered her body. Her right hand formed a seal, and a pair of wings made of wind appeared on her back. As the wings flapped, the air around them fluctuated. Her body seemed to have teleported as she flew backward 1,000 feet. The strange stone pillar whistled through the air, but it hit empty air. After flashing a few times, it successfully flew 10,000 feet away and reached the entrance of the palace. The cicada cloak that covered her body flashed with a misty crystal light, and her body turned into nothingness. Her aura also gradually disappeared. She had become invisible. The Ghost King's dark red eyes laughed savagely as he looked at the entrance of the palace. He was slightly surprised. A wind spiritual body. Hee, a rare spiritual body. It's a pity that you were born in the wrong place. If you were in Jojo, you would definitely be a rare spiritual body for cultivation. In the Void Realm, even the best spiritual body would find it difficult to break through the shackles of the fairy realm. And that lad, just now, seemed to be able to see through the sacrificial altar and discover me, who was sealed. Interesting. The Ghost King laughed. Then his eyes drifted to shopkeeper Chi, who was the only one left. He did not chase after them. At that moment, shopkeeper Chi's expression was a little strange. He did not panic, and he did not even look surprised. It was as if he had already known that there was a frightening monster in the sacrificial altar. Ghostface snickered, and the two stone pillars attacked from the left and right, bombarding together. Chi Ming's expression was calm. He took out two broken god talismans and threw them over. The talismans, which were equivalent to the attacks of a human king, exploded and formed two extremely strong longswords. They struck the stone pillars fiercely. With a loud bang, the stone pillars were suppressed. However, dozens of tentacles shot out from the stone pillars once again, wrapping around the two longswords. A strange scene ensued. The two longswords were also swallowed by the tentacles. Chi Ming stood with his hands behind his back. Not only was he not afraid, but he even looked surprised. Not bad. It is indeed the Ghost King sealed by the Ghost Clan. It is rumored that the Ghost race's evil ghost bloodline comes from the Ghost King. It could even devour energy-formed swords. Its devouring ability was much more tyrannical than the evil ghost bloodline, which could only devour flesh and cultivation. The Ghost King's dark red eyes narrowed. Interesting. You seem to know my background. I just don't know how confident you are to dare to appear in front of this king. With a swoosh, hundreds of tentacles shot out from the two stone pillars, flying towards Chi Ming. Chi Ming took a deep breath and took out a red rune from his bosom. There was a layer of flickering lightning circulating on it. As Chi Ming pinched his fingers, the rune exploded, and a ball of lightning burst forth. A 30-meter-long lightning snake pounced towards the stone pillar with a sharp whistle. Pucci, the tentacles, which could easily devour energy bodies, turned into smoke the moment they touched the lightning snakes. The other tentacles also instinctively retreated, not daring to touch the lightning snake. Using lightning techniques to restrain evil ghosts, I have indeed made some preparations. Unfortunately, this kind of rune, which contains lightning, is the most difficult to create. I want to see how many lightning runes you can use. The Ghost King's thoughts moved, and 10 stone pillars charged forward. Under the pincer attack, even though the lightning snakes could restrain ghosts, they were no match for them. With a whimper, they dispersed on the spot. Chi Ming's expression changed slightly, and he let out a cold grunt. No need to put on an act. After being sealed for so long, you are merely a remnant soul. You do not even have the right to control this Ghost King's body. Activating 10 stone pillars is already your limit. After saying this, he flipped his palm and took out 5 red runes from his sleeves. They exploded, and 5 blood-colored lightning snakes roared, colliding with the 10 stone pillars. The area was in a state of confrontation. Within the cave, Su Yu's expression was a little gloomy as he stood at the entrance of the cave. The 4 layers of seals that they had broken previously had been restored in a short amount of time. They had been sealed within. After careful observation, Su Yu's expression turned even uglier. It was more than 3 times more difficult to break this kind of seal from the inside than from the outside. This was probably to prevent the ghosts that had been sealed from breaking the seal and escaping. With my abilities, it is not impossible to break the seal. I should be able to use my full power, but I might not have enough time. Su Yu muttered to himself. Hearing the continuous explosions behind him, his heart sank. The moment he saw the sacrificial altar, he could see the existence of the 10,000 feet tall ghost. The terrifying aura, which was not weaker than Shang-Ji's, caused Su Yu to turn and flee without hesitation. But it was already too late. At that moment, Su Yu's heart moved. He turned his head to look at a spot 200 feet to his right, calmly saying, "Since Miss Xin is here, why are you still hiding?" There was not a single soul in that empty place. There was no movement at all. Su Yu creased his brows, lifting his finger to shoot a bit of spirit energy over. Thump! A fair palm suddenly extended, grabbing and extinguishing the spirit energy that was attacking him. Following that, Xin Wuhan's figure gradually appeared. Her cold and beautiful face was filled with shock. "I have underestimated you, to be able to see through my invisibility." Her heart was in turmoil. The cicada cloak's invisibility ability was extremely strong. Even a half-god would not be able to see through it, much less an immortal realm level 4. But Su Yu had actually discovered its existence. How could Xin Wuhan not be shocked? "Miss Xin, the situation is urgent," Su Yu said. "We cannot afford to be suspicious of each other. What methods do you have to quickly break this seal? We don't have much time left." Su Yu went straight to the point. Xin Wuhan's expression changed slightly. She was silent for a moment before saying, "It is not impossible to quickly break the seal, but I need some time." Su Yu said calmly, "If you need more than the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, there is no need to speak further." Xin Wuhan's eyes flickered. "Why? Are you confident that you can break the seal in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea?" In his heart, he couldn't help but feel shocked. Previously, when the four of them joined forces, they had taken the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Could Su Yu alone break the seal in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea? It was 3 times more difficult to break the seal from the inside than from the outside. This caused Xin Wuhan to be shocked. This Black Snow Devil King was mysterious and unfathomable. "No, what I mean is that we do not have the time it takes to brew a cup of tea." Su Yu's gaze flickered as he spoke ambiguously. Xin Wuhan looked at Su Yu deeply, nodding her head. "I do have a way to break the seal in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, but the prerequisite is that I am not affected by anyone." Su Yu was elated. "If that is the case, I will do my best to buy time for Miss Xin." Su Yu's gaze flickered, and he retreated quickly. He hid out of the cave, observing the battle at the altar from afar. Xin Wuhan was a little unwilling, but since things had come to this, she could only fight. Her expression changed several times. She clenched her teeth and cast her technique on the spot. Her long black hair gradually fell off, revealing a head of long, snow-white hair. The aura he gave off also rose rapidly from a heaven master to a human king, close to a demigod. Chapter 436. The seal began to break. On the sacrificial altar, the battle between the two reached its climax. Even though Qi Ming had countless precious runes, the Ghost King controlled 10 stone pillars and was undefeatable. As they fought, Qi Ming's expression gradually turned ugly. The lightning runes in his sleeves became fewer and fewer. Whoosh! He extended his palm and took out 3 lightning runes. These were his last 3. "Hee, you prepared well," he said. 20 lightning runes. Even in the Jinlong continent, there might not be more than 100 of them. Your generosity astonishes me." Qi Ming's expression was ugly. He had spent close to 20 years collecting these runes from all over the continent. He had spent a great deal of effort on each one. He had not expected to use them all up in the time it took to brew a cup of tea. The ferocity of the Ghost King had far exceeded his expectations. Even though the 20 lightning runes had destroyed more than half of the Ghost King's stone pillars, they had not harmed his core. If this continued, he would not be able to hold on for long. Biting his teeth, Qi Ming turned back and shouted, "Miss Xin, Sir Black Snow, if you do not attack now, when will you? I cannot hold on for long." Su Yu's expression was gloomy. He naturally did not want to fight the Ghost King head-on, but Xin Wuhan needed time. If Qi Ming was defeated, it would be even more difficult for him to deal with the Ghost King alone. After a moment, Su Yu made up his mind and flew over. The Ghost King laughed. "You are walking right into my trap." After saying this, a stone pillar flew towards Su Yu, hundreds of tentacles dancing on it. Without thinking, Su Yu took out his silver bow from afar and pulled out a long arrow that was flickering with flames. Whoosh! The fiery red arrow pierced through the air, shooting toward the Ghost King. The hundreds of tentacles were not afraid. They surged forward, wrapping around the arrow. The raging flames on the arrow were extinguished, swallowed by the tentacles. Qi Ming shouted, "Sir Black Snow, such an attack is useless. This Ghost King is an ancestor of the Ghost Clan. His engulfment ability can easily swallow all the energy in the Jinlong continent. Only the power of lightning is his nemesis." Su Yu's gaze flickered. It was as if Manager Qi had already known that he was proficient in lightning. When he had appeared in the North Continent as the Black Snow Devil King, Su Yu had not displayed his lightning techniques. This person had noticed that he possessed the Tao of lightning and purposely brought him here. In other words, it was very likely that the other party knew about the Ghost King sealed in the altar, but he was intentionally concealing it. He was secretly vigilant and on guard, but his expression did not change. He snorted slightly. "Is that so?" After the flames were extinguished, the arrow that was wrapped in flames was revealed. It was an arrow that was condensed from purple thunderbolts. Caught off guard, the tentacles wrapped around it were instantly annihilated. For a moment, lightning flashed in all directions, and the sky was filled with smoke and dust. Ghost King's expression turned solemn. "Thunderpath? I see. Humph, you're really well prepared. From the looks of it, his attainment in the way of thunder is not shallow. He is close to the quintessence." The Ghost King looked at Qi Ming again, his eyes suddenly turning cold. Qi Ming was secretly shocked. A lightning path that was close to the origin? From the looks of it, the Black Snow Devil King had not only perfected his Ice Tao and condensed the origin, but his Lightning Tao was also close to the origin. No, there was also the Fire Path. It didn't seem weak either. One person cultivated 3 Taos at the same time, and all of them were very profound. Even though he was surprised that Su Yu's Lightning Tao was stronger than he had expected, for some reason, he felt a little uneasy. Throwing away his uneasiness, Qi Ming tossed out 3 talismans, letting out a low grunt. "Mr. Black Snow, please delay him for a moment. Let me use a secret technique to kill this person." Su Yu's expression changed. Qi Ming had the ability to kill the Ghost King. From the aura he emitted, he was not much weaker than Shangge. Even if he was only a remnant soul and the power he could unleash was limited, he was still a king of half-gods and below the fairy realm. The fact that Qi Ming had the confidence to kill him shocked Su Yu. Whoosh! Qi Ming took out a golden ring from his robes. There were many Sanskrit words carved on it, and it emitted a very strong Buddhist aura. A faintly discernible divine glow was continuously pulsing from it. The Ghost King's expression changed, and he gasped. A Buddhist treasure, the ghost-suppressing golden ring. He could not suppress the fear on his face. But after his gaze turned serious, he heaved a sigh of relief. He sneered. "I was wondering how a Buddhist treasure could appear in the Void Realm. So, it is only a broken item. 90% of its Buddhist aura has been lost." But Qi Ming laughed coldly. "Even if only 10% of its Buddhist aura remains, it is still more than enough to imprison you." The Ghost King's expression turned serious. "Humph, that is if you have the ability to suppress it." After saying this, the 10 stone pillars surrounded Su Yu and attacked. Su Yu's eyes flashed, and the silver bow in his hands shot out 10 arrows in an instant. The power of lightning it contained forced the 10 stone pillars to retreat. Qi Ming heaved a sigh of relief, then relaxed. He spat out a mouthful of blood, which landed on the golden ring. At once, the golden ring shone with a golden light. Sanskrit words reverberated, and faintly discernible Buddha figures surrounded the golden ring. As Qi Ming crazily channeled spirit energy into the ring, the golden light shone even brighter. The Sanskrit words became louder, and the Buddha figures gradually became clearer. The Ghost King's 10,000 zhang body trembled slightly, and it emitted black smoke continuously. The Ghost King's face showed signs of pain. So he was shocked. What was the ghost-suppressing golden ring? Its ability to restrain ghosts was even greater than that of thunderbolts. "Die!" The Ghost King let out a ferocious roar. The 10 stone pillars shot into the sky, crashing toward Qiming. Suyu repeated what he had done, standing at a safe distance and continuously shooting out thunderbolt arrows. No matter how powerful the stone pillars were, they could not break through the thunderbolt arrows. The Ghost King's dark red eyes were filled with deep hatred as he stared at Suyu coldly. "Lad, if you don't interfere in my affairs, I can spare your life. Otherwise, once I recover, I will make sure that you die a horrible death." The eerie ghost howl and a malicious gaze caused Suyu to tremble in fear. But Suyu's hands did not stop moving. He did not know if the Ghost King was trustworthy. Even if he was trustworthy, the Ghost King had only promised not to kill him. He had not promised not to cripple his cultivation base. After all, it was hard to believe that the Ghost King would let him off so easily. Seeing that Suyu had no intention of compromising, the ghost-suppressing golden ring in Qiming's hands was about to be activated. His eyes glowed fiercely, and he let out a ferocious roar. "Lad, you are asking for death. I will destroy you, even if it takes me 10,000 years to accumulate my power." The most important thing now was to kill Suyu. Only then could he stop Qiming. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The immobile 10,000 zhang body stepped out from the sacrificial altar. Even though the movement was stiff, it had indeed moved. Qiming's expression changed in shock. You can control this body? Impossible? You know that it is only a remnant soul." The Ghost King let out a cold grunt. 10,000 years of accumulation is enough for me to control this body slightly. It is enough to kill the two of you. After saying this, he took a step towards Suyu. His footsteps were extremely strange, containing the principles of space. Suyu had clearly maintained a distance of 1,000 zhang. But the next moment, he had appeared in front of the giant head. A pair of dark red ghost eyes were filled with malice, as if two mountains were right in front of Suyu. The ferocious mouth with crisscrossing fangs bit towards Suyu ferociously. Chapter 437. Suyu's expression changed. What kind of magical power was this? With the giant mouth in front of him, long-range weapons and arrows were useless. A black light flashed in front of his chest. Suyu put away his silver bow and released a ring of lightning without hesitation. Compared to the lightning arrow from before, the power of this ring of lightning was 3 times stronger. It struck the giant mouth, causing the giant ghost mouth to feel pain. A large amount of ghost energy was released. The giant ghost felt the pain, its mouth pausing momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, Suyu retreated. In an instant, he had retreated hundreds of zhang, once again increasing the distance between them. Seeing that his attack had failed, the Ghost King became even more ferocious. "Good. Very good. I did not expect you to have hidden a portion of the power of lightning." He glanced at the ghost suppressing golden ring, which was about to be successfully activated. His Buddha nature was about to reach its peak. Fear flashed in his eyes. With a fierce glint, he suddenly opened his mouth and inhaled. Instantly, the ghostly aura in his mouth surged like a dark cloud and condensed into a black vortex. At that moment, Suyu felt his soul tremble, as if his entire body was about to be sucked into the black vortex. His body was uncontrollable, sucked into the vortex like a falling leaf. It was as if he was facing Shangge. Suyu's expression changed, but at that moment, he realized that his spirit energy had been restricted, and he could not circulate it. Even the power of lightning that countered ghosts was greatly suppressed, unable to escape from his body. Roar! The Ghost King sensed danger, disregarding everything else to kill Suyu. With a loud roar, the suction force of the vortex doubled. Suyu knew that he was in danger, and he was being sucked into the vortex. Qiming, who was activating the ghost-suppressing golden ring, had a cold look in his eyes, a mocking smile on his face. The ghost-suppressing golden ring, which was still being activated, suddenly released a layer of suppression. It looked as if it had already been fully activated. The Ghost King did not have time to relax, his expression turning rigid. You already activated the golden ring?" His face was filled with shock. That meant that the Ghost King had intentionally watched Suyu die at his hands. Hee, it's good that you know. Qi Ming laughed coldly, but his palm did not stop. He raised his hand and tossed it into the air. Rise! In an instant, the ghost-suppressing golden ring glowed brightly. It was as if a sun had appeared in the dark green hall, illuminating everything in gold. The Ghost King let out a scream of fear, turning to escape of the hall. As strong as he was terrified of the ghost-suppressing golden ring. Qi Ming laughed coldly without saying a word. He pointed his finger at the Ghost King from afar, and the golden hoop turned into a beam of raging flames that struck the Ghost King. Upon contact, the Ghost King's 1,000-meter-tall body crumbled like a collapsing skyscraper, its flesh and blood turning into black ash. His 3,000-meter-tall body shrank and collapsed at a speed visible to the naked eye, accompanied by miserable screams. The Ghost King had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only a 30-feet-tall evil ghost. Its outline was very similar to the Ghost King, but it was much smaller. Of the ghost Su of the King of the 3 heads of the ghost of the ring of the ghost. The eyes of the spirit, of ghost of it, of the 3 heads, of. You. The powerful Ghost King had been easily subdued. Qi Ming flew over. His face was pale and covered in sweat. He had a look of lingering fear. Thank goodness. With Master's treasure, the ghost-suppressing golden ring, as my trump card, I finally subdued the Ghost King. Qi Ming wiped his cold sweat and heaved a sigh of relief. He took out a picture scroll from his bosom. On it was a picture of an old man looking down at the world with his hands behind his back. In the picture, the old man in the picture had come to life. He turned back to look at the trapped Ghost King. His expression was calm, as if he was not surprised. My ghost-suppressing golden ring specializes in subduing ghosts of this level. It is not strange that it can subdue it. You were able to subdue it successfully this time because of the runes you prepared over the years. They used up much of the Ghost King's ghost chi. Otherwise, with your abilities, even with the ghost-suppressing golden ring, you might not have succeeded. Secondly, and the most important reason, that kid with the Thunder Dao was really unexpected. If not for the fact that his proficiency in the Thunder Dao far exceeded my expectations, he might not have been able to buy you enough time to activate the ghost-suppressing golden ring. Qi Ming had a deep understanding of this. The Ghost King had been through the ages. Being able to control the body of the Ghost King was unexpected. If not for the Black Snow Devil King blocking it and buying time, the situation might have been different. The chances of Qi Ming becoming the Ghost King's meal would have been extremely high. Master, could the Black Snow Devil King still be alive after being swallowed by the Ghost King? Qi Ming was suddenly worried. The Black Snow Devil King was stronger than he had expected, making him feel uneasy. The old man in the picture grunted. If a mere immortal level 4 like him could escape from the stomach of the Ghost King, then the name of the Ghost King does not live up to its name. There is another world in the stomach of the Ghost King. It contains an extremely dense ghost energy. Even a half-god would be killed by the ghost energy if he was swallowed, let alone him. Qi Ming was finally at ease. Master, how do we retrieve the mysterious heavenly map from the body of the Ghost King? The eyes of the old man in the picture glowed. To retrieve the mysterious heavenly map, we need to set up some spell formations. The process is a little complicated. We cannot stay here for long. Let's leave first. Qi Ming nodded. He grabbed the corpse of the Ghost King and flew toward the entrance of the cave. At that moment, the entrance of the cave rumbled. The 4 layers of seals were broken at the same time. The old man in the picture let out a gasp of surprise. Oh, to be able to break 4 layers of seals in the time it takes to brew half a cup of tea. This helper of yours seems to be extraordinary. Qi Ming's expression changed. Not good. If this woman spreads the news, it will not matter if my identity is exposed. But if your identity is exposed as well, then it will be extremely dangerous. A mere heaven master wants to escape from my hands. The old man in the picture let out a cold grunt. His body flickered, turning into a transparent shadow. He flew out of the scroll. Even though Xian Wuhan was breaking the spell, she was constantly paying attention to the battle behind her. Sensing that Suyu had been swallowed, Xian Wuhan had a bad feeling. Luckily, She had broken the spell in time and managed to escape. But she had only escaped 1,000 feet when her pupils dilated. She looked at the transparent, elderly figure floating above the trench in shock. He was dressed in extremely simple and unadorned clothing. His face was extremely pale, and he was in a transparent state. It was extremely strange. At that moment, he was looking down at her with his hands behind his back. The invisibility of the cicada cloak was useless. "Elder," Exine Wuhan said seriously, "what is the meaning of this?" The old man in the picture had an indifferent expression, as if he was looking at an ant. "Since you have seen me, of course I am sending you on your way." After saying this, he waved his hand and sent a seal forward. A transparent, shapeless ripple shot toward Exine Wuhan. The ripple did not have any aura, but it contained a very obscure, terrifying power. Chapter 438. Her face was filled with fear, as if she had discovered something unbelievable. But at this critical moment, driven by her will to live, she grabbed at her chest and took out a snow-white ruler. The ruler was crystal clear and gave off a strong spiritual pressure. It was a top-notch mid-grade divine weapon that was no weaker than the mountain river dragon bow. At this moment, the image of a palm-sized snow lion circled around the snow-white ruler. The ruler was still activated. It was obvious that it had just been used. The old man in the painting was slightly surprised. Soul summoning technique? A top-notch mid-grade divine weapon and an ordinary heaven master. Your identity is not ordinary. Exine Wuhan did not speak. She activated the spiritual ruler, and the palm-sized snow lion instantly grew to a height of 10 zhong. The aura it gave off was far beyond that of a heaven master, reaching the level of a true human king. It was no wonder that she could break through 4 layers of seals in one go. The snow lion let out a fierce roar and flew against the soul attack. The old man in the painting had a mocking expression. He stood with his hands behind his back, unmoving. The soul attack passed through the snow lion without a sound. The human king-level snow lion whimpered, and its huge image dissipated into specks of crystal, disappearing into thin air. The ripples of the soul attack did not slow down. They hit Exine Wuhan, who could not dodge in time. With a scream, Exine Wuhan hugged her head and groaned. Her expression was one of extreme pain. Then, her body strangely split apart, turning into pieces of spiritual energy. Only the cicada cloak and the spiritual ruler were left, falling into the depths of the trench. The old man in the painting's expression froze. Demigod incarnation. Qi Ming chased after them and caught the 2 treasures. Seeing the old man's serious expression, he could not help but ask, "Master, where is Exine Wuhan?" The old man in the painting was silent for a moment, then said seriously, "Tell me again. How did you find this woman?" Qi Ming knew that something was off. He said simply, "She is a warrior who passed by Blue Billow Island half a month ago. I saw that she was alone and seemed to be a traveler. If she died here, it would not attract much attention. That was why I invited her to join the team." After hearing this, the old man in the painting's eyes flickered. After a moment, he waved his sleeves and urged, "Leave this place immediately. We can't afford to provoke this woman for now." Regardless of whether it was the soul-summoning technique that had been lost for thousands of years or her half-god realm cultivation, she and the forces behind her were not people that I could provoke at the moment. Exine Wuhan's name is most likely fake. If I hadn't encountered a great calamity and my cultivation had fallen to this level, why would I be afraid of a mere demigod? The old man in the painting frowned and snorted before entering the painting in a flash. Demigod? Qi Ming was startled. The Exine Wuhan that he had seen previously was actually Exine Wuhan's incarnation. A mere incarnation was already so powerful. If the main body were to descend without another word, Qi Ming swept up the scroll, painting, and the Ghost King, turned into a remnant shadow, and fled the place. At the same time, in a cave somewhere on an island, a cold and aloof woman sat cross-legged. She was beautiful and wore an exquisite long robe. Her appearance was extremely similar to Xian Wuen's. Suddenly, Xian Wuen opened her eyes, and a cold light shone from them. Her colorful eyes were as clear as water, yet they emitted a deep coldness, giving her an extra sense of coldness. Humph! Soul body. According to what I know, only fairy realm fighters can separate their souls from their bodies. Xian Wuhen's expression was cold. This time, I was careless and fell into your trap. If my main body were to meet you, I would destroy both your body and soul. After saying this, she closed her eyes once again. She did not head toward the oceanic trench for revenge. Thinking about it, even if the other party had discovered her incarnation, she would not have remained where she was. Ghost energy filled the Ghost King's body. Suyu fell into it, feeling the cold ghost energy invade his body continuously. This caused his already stagnant spirit energy to be unable to circulate. He could only allow the ghost energy to invade his body. His body gradually turned cold. Soon, his blood would cool down and stop flowing. His life would come to an end. Suyu's heart trembled. The situation before him was extremely dangerous. If he did not use spirit energy to protect his body, he would not last more than a cup of tea's time. But the ghost energy in this place was extremely suppressive. Not only was spirit energy restricted, even the lightning that was used to restrain the ghost energy was restricted. How could he still use spirit energy to protect his body in such a situation? Just as he was in danger, Suyu's mind flashed. A black light flashed on his chest, and a broken black armor flickered in front of him. The armor was ancient, and its design was simple. It was not an item from the current era. There was a huge hole on the chest area of the armor. It was as if something had dug into the armor and crushed the heart. The armor had been pierced through from front to back. Suyu touched the armor subconsciously. An extremely hard feeling welled up in his heart. When he exerted a bit of force, not only did he not move the material of the armor, but he also felt pain from his fingertips. Long-cherished Wish felt startled. His physical body had already reached the level of a sovereign personage. However, the armor before him was extraordinarily tough. Looking at it carefully, Suyu realized that there was a groove at the center of the armor. There was a fiery red crystal embedded in it. It emitted a faint warmth, expelling the cold feeling in Suyu's body. The moment it touched the crystal, a wisp of fiery red gas was released from the crystal. Suyu froze. He was shocked. This is vital energy. The crystal was filled with vital energy that the Zhenlong continent did not have. At the same time, the black armor seemed to have been activated. It trembled and buzzed, emitting layers of black light. The ghost chi in the surroundings dissipated after coming into contact with the black light. Even the ghost energy in Suyu's body seeped out of his pores, dispersing. Suyu was overjoyed. His eyes flashed as he put on the armor. At once, the surrounding ghost energy dissipated. Phew, that was close. Luckily, I had this armor. Suyu caressed the mysterious armor, feeling extremely lucky. If not for the fact that he had secretly taken it away at the entrance of the cave, he would have been in grave danger. But things were not over yet. Finding a way to leave this place was of utmost importance. Looking around, Suyu realized that this place seemed to be a space of its own. It was only a few thousand feet wide, but it was filled with ghost energy. Even his soul eyes could not see through it. Finding the exit would require some time. With the armor protecting him, Suyu felt much more at ease. He patiently and carefully searched the ghost energy. But after searching for a long time, he could only touch the soft and wriggling inner wall. He could not find the exit. What worried Suyu was that the glow of the crystal in the center of the armor was gradually dimming. The ghost energy had surrounded it once again. I'm afraid that this armor will not last much longer. I have to leave quickly. Suyu's heart turned cold, and he thought to himself. Right at that moment, Suyu caught a glimpse of a white light flashing by. Turning his head to take a look, he saw a broken scroll emitting a gentle white glow. It was floating in the ghost fog like a stream of water. The glow it emitted was extremely strange. It could penetrate the ghost fog and light up a radius of 100 feet. Suyu's eyes flashed. He flew over and grabbed the scroll.